It's time to find out how many times I can throw up on a live stream. This is the Arsenal Vision pre-match live stream and watch along. My name is Alex Smith, the Black Man, Twitter, Yankee Gunner. Hello, everybody. Ready for a smooth 10-0? I figure if it's, let's say 6-0 to the Arsenal within the first 7 or 8 minutes, I will be 10% calmer. That's kind of where I'm at in my process right now. It is a big day. And so let me tell you what's in store. Clive is going to be here. Paul is going to be here. Scott is going to be here. I am quite obviously and unfortunately going to be here myself. And we are going to try to do a watch along. Now, some people saying the audio sounds a little weird. So let's try to correct that briefly, which we can do. And that is why the audio sounds weird. I can fix that. How about that audio? Does that audio sound better? Anybody want to let me know? Sounds a little better, hopefully. Should be going through this mic now and not this mic now. This is why we have the comments better. Great, good. See, this is off to a flying start. It depends on how you feel about superstition. My attitude is that all of these technical glitches are good. They're a good sign. They're a sign of just how great this is going to go today. So again, we're going to try to do a watch along. Now, the thing about doing the watch along is, first of all, I've never done it. So there's that. Secondly, I don't know how to stream this game. If you are an American and you want to help out, let me know, because as it stands right now, my understanding is that the game is on the USA Network in the United States, which is great. But the issue is that I don't know if they're showing a stream on the NBC Sports app or anything like that. So let me know about that. Now, as far as syncing up, I'm not going to be showing the game on here. I'm just going to be doing a watch along. So should be fine. My goal, I got this nice big screen in front of me. My goal is to slide this stream over there, have the game here, and we should go on, and then we'll see if Clive or Paul or Scott or anyone has the nerves to stick with me through the game. So let me just lay out what's at stake, because I'm sure most of you are not aware that, no, I'm kidding. We all know what's at stake. This is about as big a game as we've had in a long time. And I wonder if it's as big as the FA Cup final against Chelsea. Now, there are some people that I think would ridicule that, right? And they would say, that's ridiculous. That's an actual trophy. This is just a game. But let me say this, because I've been thinking a lot about this top four as a trophy thing. And I realize it's not the limit of our ambition. The one thing that top four does, and this is kind of unique in sport, it changes the entirety of our experience next season, right? Like if we get top four, our whole next season has Champions League football. More games, better games, more at stake, more to be excited about. And if we don't get it, then next season is different. And so this isn't just about finishing above Spurs, something we haven't done in far too long. This isn't just about qualifying for some thing that brings money and resources and prestige to the club. This is also about adding something to our next season that I think is really exciting and, of course, is good for the process TM. So with that having been said, look, let's just do what everybody wants me to do already. Oh my God,
what? Stop it, you. How you doing?
I mean, I asked at the beginning of the stream, which you probably missed, how many times is appropriate or acceptable to throw up on a live stream? Is that a thing that like on the YouTubes and the Twitches and stuff like that? Is that a thing?
Well, what I would say for the listener or the viewer in this case, I wait for a text mostly to see if I'm needed on the live stream. And I was hoping you wouldn't text me because I just, it's a tough one, isn't it? Getting your thoughts together and trying to keep it all nice and concise and keep perspective. And I heard you just do a little intro then about how it changes our life for next year. And I'm thinking, not much perspective there.
No pressure, Clive. I mean, I'm going to bring Paul in here in 1 second, but let me just ask you this. How, don't worry. You will get Paul, Javier, I promise. How are you feeling right now? I mean, is vomiting in play?
Hey, look, right. It's, I don't approach games with the calmness that my voice might make people think it does. But hey, look, there's other ways to get around it, right? I can have a little drink. I can. In the end, it's such an interesting place we're at as a club, and I think we're all invested. Well, I know we're all invested. All the people are here are definitely invested, and so it's just a matter of seeing that through. There's a little bit of us. Let's be honest, all of us. We know we're young. We shouldn't really be here. We're wondering if we're going to get that little metaphoric tap on the shoulder to say, "Ha, we fooled you. We fooled you. You thought you were good." But and if we come out the other side, I think the joy it'll just be amazing, wouldn't it, for everybody? So that's the thing I'm holding on to. Try and stay cool, holding on to that.
Well, you are always cool. I will give you that, Clive. If not as relaxed as your voice sounds. All right, let's get the man, the myth, the legend, the pause in here. Pausing in my pants. How are you, bud?
Woohoo! I'm good. Hang on. Do I need to unmute? I'm unmuted.
No, you're good. You're unmuted. We already had the technical glitch when I had the wrong mic on. Yeah. Hey, so
I'm broadcasting just for Javier.
You're broadcasting just for Javier. Okay, that's good. That's good. And the rest of us are just stuck with you. Have you done the yoga? Have you done the Zen stuff?
I have.
And how's it worked out?
Good. I'm in the zone.
I guess like the thing that's interesting about this game is, technically speaking, we don't need a result tonight. And I'm just curious the psychology of that. Do you think that plays in our favor? Or, I mean, Mikel Arteta has basically been pretty clear, no, go qualify for the Champions League tonight. How do you think the situation plays psychologically for these two teams? Spurs knowing they must get a result, Arsenal knowing a result would be great, but isn't mandatory per se.
So I think it's definitely going to help our psychology because we're a young team. We're playing away from home. Spurs, they have a smart manager. They got some savvy, experienced players, and we got a lot of youth on our side. And it's best that they don't come in here thinking this is all or nothing, one mistake and they're dead. They need to be up for it. They need to be focused. They need to believe they can win it tonight. But they don't need the catastrophic scenario that if they make a mistake, they lose it tonight. So I think this is about right. This is about as good as it gets. They know they can win it and finish all arguments this evening and go home with the glory. But they have a little bit of a safety net to go and do that. So they can be smart. They don't need to do stupid things. If they're drawing, they can stay chill. That's okay.
Some news breaking that Romero is out for Spurs. I'm going to bring Scott in here in a second, but Clive, any early thoughts on the news that Romero is out for Spurs?
Is that confirmed?
Well, I mean, it's in the chat, and we all know YouTube chat is basically sacrosanct. So yes, let's say it's confirmed.
Yeah, well, he's their right centre half. He's their South American killer. Goes nice and tight. He's quite similar to Ben White in some ways, but not quite as cultured in my view. I think he's a little bit more rash. But some people say that about Ben White. So yeah, look, he's a major part of their uptick in form. So if he's out, that's not a bad thing. I'm not sure how they'd replace him. Probably Davinson Sanchez. So if Davinson Sanchez plays, he's the Colombian Mustafi, right? So he'll always give you a chance. So yeah, if he's out, that's a good thing because it takes a little bit of order and confidence out of their defense. So it'll be Davinson Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis at the back with Sessegnon. And what's his name? Emerson Royale's right wing back. That'll be their back line. Bentancur. What's the guy I don't like in centre mid? The one from
all of them. Højbjerg.
Højbjerg, yeah. Thank you, Paul. You read my mind. Højbjerg, and then they got their front three, right? So we should pick themselves. So yeah, let's see. That's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
All right. Well, let's bring Scott in here while he's available. Scott's on Twitter at _that_crap. Hello, Scott.
Yeehaw!
You got the tissues next to you. Expecting this to be a wank fest?
I might, right? Yeah. I don't know. I'm still getting over my own sickness, right?
I hope they're for expressing euphoria into and not crying into. But which are you expecting?
Well, I'm sorry. I just had to take care of myself after hearing Romero was out. So I'm doing a little bit better now. So we'll see how many other times I got going later today. Oh, that Judas this year.
So by the way, a lot of people heard that you maybe have an affinity for both of these teams. And I just want to lay that to rest.
Yes,
you are
please
firmly
do.
in the Arsenal camp.
That is really
but there's been
unfair.
rumors going around of an that Judas. Do you want to put an end to these rumors finally?
No, I don't want to put an end to them. I enjoy the running joke.
Fair enough. Just in case anyone's wondering how that. Oh yeah, this is actually a good question. Scott, do you use Scott brand tissues?
I don't. These are actual Kleenex. If you're staying there, they are. Okay. I don't go generic with my Kleenex.
Manscaped approved. Okay, so early on, Scott, why don't you tell us what the data says? Because everybody loves data, especially on Derby Day. How many points are we defending here? What are the odds in your matrix?
The odds are definitely, I think, positive for me at least, right? Because you kind of think about what we need out of this match. A draw is a fantastic result that basically wraps things up. A draw would get us to like 92%, I think, for getting into the top 4. So that is perfectly acceptable. And I think if you looked at it between a draw and a win, I think Arsenal were at like 54% for both of those results. So those are really pretty good, all things considered. As we do know, part of the reason that my model, or why I'm called the Judas, is because I didn't put extra weight on my model to make Arsenal better than Tottenham. So right now, Tottenham are a slightly better rated team. So when you kind of consider that going,
whoa! Can you say that in a different way for the rest of us who don't understand what you mean?
I told you. There it is.
Warned about you.
The underlying metrics for Tottenham have been pretty solid. So they might be a decent team. Is that a better way of saying it? That
I don't like it, but I'll let it stand. Let's put it that way.
So when you consider that, plus it's at the toilet bowl, that does generally push things in their favor when you're gonna try to be a cold, rational number cruncher like my model is. So I think given those kind of considerations, that I feel fairly calm kind of going into this, right? I mean, the full nerves haven't hit me yet. Of course I would, right?
Yeah. Well, so the nerves haven't kicked in for you yet. Look, that's a good sign, because to be fair, you were very clear that you did not feel nervous at the end of the Leeds game, and that worked out just fine. So
right, because that's another one that I looked at, the actual running win probability for Arsenal. So when everybody else was shitting bricks, Arsenal were at 98% to win that. So I felt pretty confident and pretty calm going into there. So this is going to be an easy piece of cake, right?
Will you be doing the commentary for the Spurs broadcast later? People want to know.
I might. Let's see. Yep. Actually, I'm going to be working busy, so I'll be having this on in the background and trying to actually get real work done, so I can, make sure to have a job after this.
Fair enough. Okay, so Clive, we're about to get the lineups here. Let me ask you. What do you think is absolutely crucial for us in terms of coping with the threat they have on the counterattack, but maybe not being too passive? Or are you okay with us maybe being a little passive in this game?
I think if you're looking for any sort of instruction, you're looking for the Chelsea game. I think is a very good game for us to learn from. The way we played, the way we could go to a 4, to a 3, to a 5, all in game without making substitutions. I think that's something to be interested in. I watched the Spurs game versus Liverpool, and Spurs really did cover the pitch. And what they did is they kept Sessegnon really high as a left wing back and sort of rolled around into a back 4 that way. And they were quite brave. Emerson Royale didn't push up so high. They were quite brave with their position. So they really covered the pitch really, really well. And they kept Liverpool honest. Sorry, Paul?
Team news.
Yeah, we're going to get to it. Let him finish his thoughts. I got it. I'm queuing it up.
No, get the team news here. Yeah, so
I'm getting it in. Everybody just relax. I'm on it.
I can see someone saying Cedric. No Ben White. Oh, dear.
Cedric. Yep.
Just finish your thought and I'll put it up, I promise.
Well, no. And I think what you've got to be aware of is how they cover the pitch. But if we cover the pitch the same as them and we go man to man, I sort of fancy us man to man. So it's covering the pitch is really key. That's so important for me. Covering the pitch, making sure we're not going from side to side. And then when we get there, they cut back onto us and they can flip the ball inside into their penalty box movers, who are quite good. If you have to go, when they switch the point of the attack, that's when gaps appear in lines. That's when they can run through, right? So it's very important that we're out there already, cover the pitch, and then we can smash them 1-on-1, and then we can sort of transition against them. That's very important. I think they're not bad. Another thing, my worry about Cedric, and I'll say it now, and I don't want to hope this is not true. If Cedric is advanced, he has a tendency to just cross the ball away, and crossing the ball away, he's no longer good enough. You know what I mean? It's no longer good enough because you're actually giving them counter-attack opportunities, and that's exactly what they want. Cross it away. It's no longer good enough to get a new, but put the good cross in. All it does is give the ball away. You're giving the ball away. It's a low percentage thing, and so don't do it. Combine short passes, penetrate them, stress them, set pieces, go that way.
No, I think that's a good point, Clive, because you're right. You think about where Cedric's been crossing from. It hasn't been from dangerous locations, right? It's been pretty early crosses before we even have things set up, even have somebody getting ready.
Non-league crosses, mate. I call them non-league crosses.
Yeah.
At level I coach, they're fantastic. We will sign him, get a cross in, get into the box. But that's not Premier League football, right? That's not the way it goes.
It's easy for a Premier League defender, right?
Spurs ate up the crossing from Liverpool. I think it's worth pointing out, and that was not a tactic that worked well for them. As Clive gives free advertisement to, what is that, Newcastle Brown Ale?
Moretti.
Oh, Moretti. I take it back. What do I know? Scott probably could have called that out as the big beer drinker. I've been mainlining heroin for the last 2 hours personally. So here's an interesting point, Paul. Tomiyasu.
Teams.
Yeah. All right, we're getting to it. It's on the screen now. Tomiyasu at right back, Cedric at left back. I may have some concerns about that, but I definitely think that Tomiyasu covering Son is obviously a really important matchup and one that I feel good about. So how do you feel about the lineup in particular, opting for Cedric at left back and the Tomiyasu matchup with Son in particular?
So how do we know Tomiyasu's playing right back?
I just think the way the lineup is read out, but maybe not. Do you think it might be the other way around?
Yeah. So there's a really interesting piece that was done.
I hope it isn't.
Yeah, me too. Well, I guess here's what I'd say. There's a really interesting piece done on Arteta and Idaval talking after they both signed their contracts. And Arteta saying, actually, the shit hits the fan once the team lineups are handed in. It's not like they go out with their plan and their setup. Like you have your team, you have their team, but then you suddenly react to what they've got and what you've got. So, you know, they'd be looking at each other's lineups and potentially, he says they plan A, B, and C at this point. There isn't just one plan. It's depending on what they do. Here's what we do. We saw that against Chelsea with do we play 3 at the back? They immediately switched to a 4 at the back early on. I guess my point is they're pretty flexible in how they approach these things. I hope it's Tomiyasu on the right. Sorry, Clive.
No, Paul, you've gone through the emotions we're all going through right now to pick this team. So one thing on Saturday when the team was picked, I'm thinking, crikey, Tomiyasu's playing on the right, but he didn't, right? But this time I do think he'll play on the right because Son plays on their left and he inverts on the right foot. That's a better matchup. And I actually think having a righty against a lefty, again, like Rafinha on the weekend, a lefty coming in, Tomiyasu he's their best striker. So he was basically key-owned onto Rafinha, right? So, and he dealt with him and did well inside. And this is my little theory, right? If Cedric does play left back, what he'll naturally do is similar to what Tomiyasu did for Martinelli at the weekend. He'll be slightly inverted. When Kulusevski wants to come in on his right foot, it's a stronger tackle inside for him, so he can deal with him. Kulusevski is quick, but he's not Son quick. So Cedric can handle that. He can handle that inside. But also, Elliot, do you remember if Cedric is smart and he plays in lane 4, that allows Martinelli to do what he did at the weekend. And Martinelli, there was no accident. He got so much of the ball. And with Tomiyasu inside him and Xhaka inside, a little V there, I think that's really important because Martinelli, he could be the trick. He could be the match winner. If you're going to play him, isolate him on the touchline, very similar. So what you want to try to do is get your wingers behind their wing backs to pull them back into a 5. Yeah?
Good. I'm feeling better, Clive. I'm feeling better.
Pull them back into a 5. And they're going to say, okay, they're being brave. They're not coming back. But now we've got Eddie as well. He can also spin. So you've got to shape. What a back five does for you, what you want is comfort and position. And soon
Scott,
as you start,
hand me the hankies, Scott.
Pass
Soon
the
as you-
Kleenex, Scott. He's
soon
got
as
us
you
going. now.
start to affect their comfort of position by being brave and sticking people high and wide, and you get Eddie to drop in and really overload the centre like we did at the weekend. So Tomiyasu did the centre. We really overloaded the centre part of the pitch. And where do they like to transition, Spurs? How do they like to move through the pitch? Into Kane, in the central area, spin it out wide. Overload the centre on the first phase. Then we go out wide and we say to their wing-backs, how brave do you feel today, son? Are you going to leave Saka and Martinelli on their own back there against Davinson Sanchez and Davis? If you're going to do that, I'm here all week for it. Do you see what I mean? And that's what it's cat and mouse. That's how I think it's going to go.
It's interesting, right? Because there's so much of a benefit for us to win this, you guys. There's such a huge benefit. I look at that lineup and I say, you know what? Can Kane and Son and Kulusevski cause problems? Of course they can. Are Spurs going to find a way to score in this game? Between us, you guys, yeah, they probably are. But you know what? I look at Emerson, Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, and Sessegnon, and I say, if you can't get goals against them, that's your fault, especially a Spurs team that has to come attack you. First goal in this game feels essential to me because the more Spurs have to come out at us and the more they have to leave Sanchez or Dyer or Davies exposed with Sessegnon and Emerson up the pitch in particular, the more easy it's going to be for us to get joy. I think both Martinelli and Saka can have big, big games here. The interesting thing I will say, you're looking at the lineup I pulled from Google. They have Tomiyasu on the left, Cedric on the right. I don't think that'll be the case. I can't imagine a scenario where we'd want Tomiyasu on the opposite side of Son and let Cedric and Holding handle Son on their own. But who knows? Maybe it's about keeping players in positions where they're more comfortable. What I will say, guys, is that and Paul, I'm curious to get your take on this. Like the value of 3 points for us here is so big. And I just feel like there's almost a freedom in knowing that, like, if we go for 3 points and get it, that's season over. If we don't, we still control our destiny. So I'd be inclined to really want to see what Martinelli and Saka can do against what I regard as really weak edges defensively.
Yeah. I'm surprised, though. I talked myself into this being a 3, this being a little bit more contained, not defensive, not passive, just kind of controlled, intelligent. But like, we win when we score first. Now, North London Derby might be a little different, but if like we're loaded up to get that first goal, to be high energy, we're sticking what we did last time. I think you're right. I think the fact that we don't have to shit our pants if it all goes to hell and we lose, it's not a catastrophe. It's just the least good opportunity, the least good outcome on the day. And there's 2 really good outcomes, a draw and a win. That's a big net to fall into. So I guess he's kept it pretty aggressive, and maybe he pivots to 3 at the back early in the second half when we're in decent shape. So, you know, we may well see a 3, a more contained setup. But we start aggressive, we start fast, which has been, I think, an Arteta mantra all season: start fast, high energy, and like, why do anything different? I see why we did it against Chelsea. Maybe, you know, Spurs isn't the same attacking possession team. Not that they sit deep and they'd be kind of eschewing possession here, but they're not Chelsea, and they're not as aggressive, and they're not as front loaded. They kind of want to counter punch. And so I can see why I didn't quite go with our Chelsea lineup. This is obviously much more attacking, 4-2-3-1, what we've been playing in recent times. And I guess it works for our team. Why change it is his rationale. Certainly not to begin the game.
I want to address a rumor that's hitting the chat, and that's this. Obviously, I have not been spamming shoulder press. I want to give a huge shout out to the folks at Adidas for their 424 design. The way this piping goes around the shoulders. I mean, my goodness, there's nothing here. That's just fabric. That's just fabric and design. Scott, I mean, Do you have any thoughts on shirt
Is
design
it
that you want
mine
to share?
working with my
No,
Adidas?
not even a little bit. No, not at all. Not remotely. In fact, I would say you reverse spam shoulders and it just looks like your arms are attached to the inside of your neck. It's really, really weird. It's a weird look. I don't understand it completely. So Scott, anything from this Spurs lineup that you feel strongly about? I mean, I look at this and I see what has been obvious for a while, which is the horse meme with the beautifully drawn hindquarters of the horse, and then
Yes.
it gives way to like a stick figure front of a horse. To me, this is the opposite. It's inverse horse meme. This is a beautiful horse head with a stick figure horse butt. I think we got to go after the horse butt. That's my deep tactical insight. Go after the horse
I mean,
butt.
I look at this and I think that, man, I think Martinelli and Saka could just have all sorts of fun. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how aggressively they push up the wingbacks here, right? Because if it is, you're able to get one-on-one with our front three against their back three. I really, really like those odds because I think that, what we were able to see Martinelli do last game, what we've been able to see Saka do all season long, I think that is a matchup that is just totally tilted in Arsenal's favor. I think that we could get all sorts of joy to be able to do that. I think that this will also be a really interesting one if we're able to come out with a very aggressive press like we started against Leeds, because I think missing Romero there is something that is going to be key, because I think he's one of their big guys to be able to get it out of their defensive third into their middle third.
Yep.
I think Bentancur is good and Højbjerg is okay, but really it's just I don't see a lot of aggressive passing there from their defense. So I think that could be something that really helps. Their wing backs are a lot more wingers than, auxiliary midfielders. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of help in those stats. So I think this could be a time for us to see if they are able to be more aggressive. If we can, do some kind of quick counters with pressing, getting Saka and Martinelli up against their wide center backs and be able to really kind of cause problems there. I think that is the part that really tilts Arsenal's favor. And I think if we're going to be able to score early, it's going to be through something like that.
Yeah. Well said. I agree with that. And I do just want to say quickly, it says to me here that there are 1,754 of you watching this totally absurd thing.
Wow.
And I want to just reiterate that we love you for being here. Thank you for sharing the anxiety with us. We're going to have a live match watch along. We've never done it before. I will try not to make it a cringe fest, but no promises. We've already talked about using Kleenex in all kinds of unspeakable ways. So who knows what's coming up. If you would like to gently caress the like button, I have been on a crusade. This smash the like button thing, like, these are nice devices, and we're trying to be more thoughtful about our budgets. A gentle tap, they're very sensitive. It will pick up even the gentlest of taps. So there's really no need to smash anything except Spurs. And that leads me to this, Clive. Let's get to keys to victory tonight. I even have a little banner. It says keys to victory. What are the keys to victory? And I don't mean the keys to us getting through the night without copious vomiting. What are the keys to victory?
There's lots of tactical keys, but actually, I sometimes feel this time of the year, the tactical side, although important, what is important, Ella, is how we control how we feel. Right now, we're talking tactics, but let's be honest, we care more about how we feel. And we're feeling, we're all feeling a little bit edgy. So think about the players. And I've been looking at the player interviews, and I got to be honest with you, they look excited, they look cool, they look ready to go. I think what I really enjoyed about the Leeds game until we stopped playing was how excited we were to play the game and how aggressive we were to show what we had. Mate, there was nothing left out there in that first half. We just stopped. The game became too easy almost, so we sort of waited for the next thing to happen. There was none of that stopping here tonight. I think when I watch them now, I get this, and by the way, it doesn't guarantee a result, but let me tell you, when I watch them, I get a feeling of they know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. It doesn't mean that everything's going to come off, but I can sit there and I can watch and I can tell the next pass, the next tackle. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen when someone's going to head it. I can see the runs. It's starting to look like pattern play. It's starting to look like we can reproduce it. When we on our defensive transitions, we get nice and tight. We are aggressive with people. We foul people early in transitions now. Our front-to-back distance is not so big. We've seen us drop in against Chelsea late in the game, go to a 5. We've seen us drop in against West Ham, go to a 5 and ping it down the sides and run after it and get up after it and then transition on them quick and they can get back. We've seen us dominate Man United for a bit, then get dominated, then hang in there and then get a goal. We see a lot of scenarios the last few weeks that give me a level of comfort without feeling comfortable. And I think it's going to be so exciting for this group because they've not been here before. And I think they want to be here.
It's a really interesting point.
They want to be here. We've had this thing all the way along. Me and Paul spoke about it. We're all crapping ourselves, right? But the players want this.
I don't know about that.
The players want
I've got a
this.
2-year-old, so I've got plenty of diapers in the house. The rest of you are on your own. I don't know what to tell you.
Ever since they came back from Dubai, I've seen a new focus in the player group. It's like they are saying, yeah, we're having this, and you lot better watch us. We're having this. And a couple of freak injuries have cost us maybe a couple of games we expected to win. But we're here now, and we've got the advantage that we need. And I feel they're excited. And whatever happens tonight will be better for it. This group will be better for this experience, whatever happens in this next couple of hours. I'm positive about that.
I think Clive nailed the feeling here. This goes back to 2019, but it's as relevant now as it was then. I should know better. I'm a mature man. I have a decent job, decent wife, family, house, cars, good mates. So explain to me, why does this game cause me sleepless night? This is what football does. Even though I can't explain why, I wouldn't change a thing. Notice my response at the bottom. Next pod is titled Decent Wife, regardless of what happens in the derby. That particular expression may be taken slightly out of context. But Clive, I mean, this is it, right? I mean, football does things to us we can't explain. And you wouldn't change it, would you?
Wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change it. I've been working all day. I've been doing all the jobs. I've been saving up work for ages. I thought today's the day to do them all, to keep me active and keep me off the Twitters, and so I don't say anything stupid, right? But I hope this goes well. I genuinely mean this. I don't mean to sound sycophantic, but a lot of Arsenal fans have gone through a lot of bad stuff over the last half decade, right? A lot of bad stuff, a lot of disunity, a lot of arguing. Some stages infighting online and in real life, and I see a lot of positive feelings online and in real life, and I want that to continue for everybody. I really, really do. I think this group deserves it. I hope we get it. If we don't get it tonight, the most important thing is we stay together, because Newcastle then becomes huge, right? Absolutely huge on a Monday night, their last home game. That'll be absolutely massive. So stay together, people. This is it.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Scott, I know you got to jump off here. We're going to start losing people here soon, but I want to get your sense just real quick of, let's say this goes our way. Let's just fan fiction for a minute. Let's say this goes our way. What I would ask you is, what patterns of play or what players will be influential in an important and positive way if you think this winds up going our way?
So I think the big thing is it's going to be probably our big guys, right? So I think it's going to be Granit Xhaka. I think if we're going to look at our midfield, it's got to be him. I think that El Neni's going to have a job where he's more focused on probably cutting out access to Kane rather than doing his normal ball progression safety thing. So I think that, a lot of the toothpaste is going to fall on Granit Xhaka. I wouldn't want it to fall to anybody else. So I'm pretty confident that he's going to be able to do well there. And then I think that it's going to be a big Martin Odegaard game. I think one of the things that we've come to notice over the last 6 weeks or so is that the attack really depends on and tracks really closely with how Martin Odegaard performs. Can they make sure to have their connection with Saka on that right-hand side? And then I think, being able to have a good Granit Xhaka game is going to get us a good Martinelli game. So I think that those are going to be the big keys for us, is be able to get the ball up to our attacking midfielders, get the ball into the guys that can cause damage from them and be able to take advantage of what they're going to try to do, right? Because they're going to want to come out and win this game. So I think that we can exploit their spaces and to be able to do that. So that's for me the big patterns of play. I think Rob Holding against Kane, being able to cut off those back post kind of things that he's going to like to do. Kane going to Son on the back post, or Kane going to Kuleveski. I think those are going to be, the key ones to be able to kind of cut those ones out. So yeah, I feel that there's a good matchup for Arsenal here, right? I don't think that there's a lot of spots where I think that we are weaker than them, and I think that they have weaknesses that really kind of match well with the players that we have on the pitch today. I think that there's going to be chances for us to be able to take advantage of them. I think that, even though we have, a backup right back / I don't know, left back, we'll see how that one kind of comes out. I think that being able to kind of have Tomiyasu back in here is going to be so key to be able to cover for that. And I feel pretty confident that our back three is going to be able to handle their front three and be able to really kind of neutralize them. And I think that should give us a good platform to, go and attack their weaknesses. So I feel pretty good coming into this, or at least as good as I can with how much is on the line here.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope that's the way it goes. I think. Do you need to jump off here? Because I know you.
Yeah, this would be a good spot for us to end. So I think this is going to be a 2-1 to Arsenal. I think we do it today.
Ooh.
I think that we are going to celebrate tonight, and I'll be joining Clive in the cups later, maybe, and we'll be having fun.
Yeah. All right. Well said. Scott's on Twitter to _that_crab. Enjoy it, buddy.
Bye, guys.
See you later, Scott. Ooh.
Yep. And he's gone. Like that. He was gone. Paul, what do you think about what Scott said in terms of how it goes well for us? And maybe I could ask you to do the Judas job and tell me if it doesn't go well, where you think the pain points are, where we need to ensure that we aren't caught to prevent the bad thing from happening, that we won't speak into existence.
In this game, where do we need to prevent the bad thing?
Well, I mean, this game, yes. Or if you know in life what we can do to prevent bad things from happening, I would gladly accept that piece of advice as well. It's really, really up to you at this point. Dealer's choice. I will say, I know you're into the Eastern philosophy, so anything you want to share with us, we're open to it, of course. Yeah.
Look, I think we'll start fast. And I think it's really important that the first few transitions they get, we manage them. And we settle down and we start seeing their patterns, start seeing how they're playing, what they're doing a little different. And don't start with enough energy, but don't get carried away. It's the sucker punch they're looking for, nice and early. We're not going to have the same access to the box we normally do when we start fast against other teams. They got their three at the back. They're smart. They'll have two players who sit a little deeper as a screen. So we may not have the quick success that we're looking for, we're hoping for. So we just got to be patient, keep the energy high, keep the... So the key to success, or the key to our demise, is not getting frustrated too early if our energy, our attacking doesn't quite pay off. They don't give up goals cheaply. And watching those transitions and learning in game and learning how they're playing, so that we can intelligently play to our rhythm and not get hurt.
I mean, that's good night. Clive, thoughts? Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I suppose. Right. Okay, I can give you a positive team talk chat. I can give you one that worries me. And someone just said it there, score first. I think we really do. We have to score first, right? When we score first, we're good. We're very good. I know I can talk positively about how we control the game. Controlling emotions when you're 1-0 down and that crowd is going to be interesting. But also I think playing, I know it sounds crazy, but playing the game on its mate. I heard Paul say something on the podcast, I think it was last night, and he spoke about Anfield 89. And Paul has this ability sometimes to say something, and I go off on my little walk and I have a little think. I think, you know what? The control around, and I knew that story. I've heard it a million times, but it's actually quite relevant. Is that because there was a level of control in that performance? There's a level of how they approached it in stages. And we're fans, right? And we're all pumped up and we're thinking about where we're going to drink and eat later, etc., etc. But if it's 0-0 at half time, there'll be one team that'll be absolutely petrified, and it won't be us. It won't be us. It'll be them. because they'll suddenly, that 4-point gap will be staring them in the face. And the more control and the more calm and the more certainty and assurance we show, they're going to be shocked. Because let's be honest, right? They do not respect us. As far as they're concerned, they've got the £15 million a year superstar manager. They got the golden boy Bobby Moore, England captain, up front. They got the guy that scored the most goals in open play in Son. They got Kulusevski, who I liked. I wanted us to get him to be our false 9 option because I knew Lacazette would fade, but Eddie's come in and stuck one right up me, so it doesn't really matter anymore. But Kulusevski is a good player, and I think he'd be a brilliant false 9. And I think if they ever got him to that position, he'd be a good player. But obviously they got Kane doing that role. They think they've got the superstars. They think they've got it. They've added Bentancur, who I've always liked, and they got the French captain in goal, and they think, well, we got the stadium, we got the training ground. Well, what's the problem here? It's just Arsenal. They got Eddie and Nketiah. What are you worried about? A couple of 20-year-olds on the wing. They think this is a done deal. They think it's a done deal. But the more control, the more assurance, the more certainty we show in what we're doing, I'm back to what Paul said. They're going to suddenly start looking at their boots, and their crowd's going to get edgy. So I think it's very important. You want to take the game in 15-minute chunks. We need to be, if it's 0-0 after 15 minutes and Spurs score a lot of goals at the start, it take the tempo of the game, it take the story. If we're 0-0 15 minutes, this is going to crank. It's going to crank. I'd like to see us score early in the second half and let the situation crank on top of them. And then we can go from there. We've got Ben White on the bench. We've got Nuno on the bench. We want to go to wing backs. We've got defenders we can bring on to flex it a little bit late on. We got options to be flexible to end the game as we feel. We got Smith Rowe, I think, is unfortunate not to play this game, but I just feel it's a stretching game in wide areas behind wing backs. That's not him. So it's just horses for courses. So yeah, I absolutely think, I know we're feeling edgy, but breathe, people.
Yeah,
breathe.
I'm feeling very edgy.
Players need to breathe.
I'm feeling very
Calm.
edgy.
10-minute chunks. 10-minute chunks. Let the story develop on them. Remember this. Let the story develop on them. We want the win, but don't wish it away. Let the story develop on them. And I think we'll hopefully get what we deserve at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, Paul, as we start to round the corner here towards the game, I just want to remind everybody, by the way, this is going to turn into a watch-along video. Now, we've not done that before, and I can't say exactly whether that's a good idea or not, or how it will go, or what it'll be like. I'm like, you know what I've come to, Paul, and that, so like, I was dreading this game. I didn't want this game to happen. I want it to be over. Now I'm staring at the clock and it feels like it's going backwards. Like I'm just ready for this to happen already. One thing that I think, is interesting with the way we're potentially lining up is, we saw Tomiyasu on the left really bring Martinelli to life, but maybe Saka was a little less involved. And if he is on the right, Saka hasn't really popped lately. And I feel like we're due for a big Saka game. And if Tomiyasu was there, they haven't had a chance to play together a lot recently. But I think some of Saka's best performances have come with Tomiyasu back in there. I'm wondering if that Tomiyasu, Odegaard, Saka pod on the right that had been so devastating at times this season might find its way back to life a little bit tonight. And if maybe he'll just sort of remind us how special he is, because he's been a little muted in recent games.
Well, assuming that's where he plays, that's a key here. It's going to be a key on the attacking end, getting into the box. I just saw that stat. No player bar Mo Salah has more touches in the box than Saka. So having that platform of Tomiyasu, Odegaard, that pod on the right, and it also takes some of the sting out of Son and Sessegnon getting forward to bomb up there and give them the overlap. So the more danger they see on our right side, the more we'll pin them in, and the more it opens up our left side. Martinelli getting forward. And so Xhaka in the box as a striker, as a late arriving attacking midfielder. But what we saw in the last game that I think is very hopeful for this is Martinelli and Eddie Nketiah building an understanding with each other. And I think that's where the real threat on our left-hand side, that combination there. So if that pod on the right with Odegaard, hopefully Tomiyasu and Saka can really give them something to think about over there, we solve two problems. We open up our left-hand side, and we'll keep Son to some degree and Sessegnon certainly a hell of a lot quieter. So, yeah, it's a key to the game.
Yeah. Clive?
Yeah, if this right back, left back thing is a bit of an unknown, isn't it, Paul? We're not sure what we're going to get, right? Which side's going to go. But the most important thing it's the Cedric thing. Just please stand still, will you? Just stand still. Just stand there, pop the ball, clip it, move it, pass it to Martelli. Learn how to carry water. You haven't got to carry the water right up to him and hand it to him on a tray. Can you just pop it to him and let him go in isolation situations? Don't get involved. Don't leave us open. Control by being slightly inverted. You help control the central zone. That's how they exit. They exit centrally. The more bodies we have there, that we can kill it at source. That's number one thing. Number two, and Scott said it. I don't think he said it with enough oomph, so I'm gonna say it again.
So say it again.
Say it again. Well, if you can tell me a time when Arsenal played really, really well, and Martin Odegaard didn't play really, really well, then let me know, right? Because I think he's vital, and they don't have a player like him. They don't have that player that can literally run the game, right? So they know they got to get the ball to Kane, and Kane does one or two things around the corner and chugs after it, right? So Kane can't, he can't run the game with the touches that Martin Odegaard does, right? So every time we've had a hot game, he's had a hot game. I can't think of one, Elliot, where he's been rubbish and we've been rubbish. But I can think of a few where he's been rubbish and we've been rubbish. Yeah, I can think of a few, and that's a challenge for us next year, how we're rotating, when we're rotating, what we're rotating with, what that new style is going to be, because he controls the team, right? He's the captain, he controls the team, he coaches the team, along with Xhaka, he coaches the team, and with Ben White not being there, I think Odegaard is the stick-on technical leader of that team in all areas, and if he plays well, and I can see him being the player they can't control. If he plays well and does what he needs to do, and I take a shot now and again, mate, it'd be really nice. That could be our key to victory.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I just think the one thing, Paul, that maybe hasn't been talked about a lot because it hasn't wound up mattering in the last 4 games in a big way is, Gabriel has looked a little rocky. We saw him dive in and pick up an unnecessary yellow even against Leeds. And, he doesn't have Ben White there to help him with the responsibility of distributing. So that's sort of added on to his pile, because I think he will be more tasked with distributing the ball from the back than holding. And, look, we know what Kane's going to do. He's just going to post up right on Gabriel. He's going to try to win first balls, play second balls out to Son. We know what they're going to try to do. He's going to try to roll him. And Gabriel has dived in a bit. We saw him, look a little bit ropey was it the Chelsea game with Tavares where they kind of both went to sleep? But they're all blending together now. But like
the Palace
this is a
game,
good game for Gabriel. It was the Palace game. That's right, of course. Yeah. Go ahead, Clive. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been doing some things today to keep my mind off it, so I thought I'd read about the game. So I went into a little bit of data world earlier. Yeah, I've just got to try and catch you up somehow, right?
That's Scott's job.
But our win percentage without Gabriel is something like 36% or something like that. And I know he has moments, but without, I can't imagine a team without him, because last minute against Leeds when that ball got popped through, yeah, I was thinking, I hope that's Gabriel chasing that striker down, and it was, and he shut the door, right?
Does Gabriel make you nervous, Clive? Because he doesn't make me nervous, and he loves the Kane matchup. Give him this kind of a job to do. You got to take a bit of risk. I think he's perfect for it. Yeah,
this is why I want Cedric to stand still no matter where he is, left or right, doesn't bother me. Stand still. Gabriel, his best game for me was versus Kane. I'm saying his name wrong now, right? So his best game for me was against Kane, and that's when I was convinced about him. He's gonna do dumb stuff, right? He wants to go and get the ball, he wants to go fishing for it. And sometimes he goes fishing to the halfway line and he arrives at speed. And he's not an English international, which means you arrive at speed, don't get the ball, you're getting booked. Right? So that's it, right? So he arrives at speed, he really wants it, but that's what makes him who he is, right? He gets tight when he needs to. Every now and again, when he gets booked, we all go, "Oh, come on, man! He didn't even make that tackle." We forget all the 15 tackles previously that he's won. Do you see what I mean? And that's how it works. So, love him. I'm so glad he chose us, not Manchester United, because that's all they need: left-footed centre half, and they'll be up and running, right? So yeah, it's very important.
Can I try and make Clive feel a little better about Cedric with his nerves?
Why not?
Yeah. So the last game, I was looking at it. He banged in 2 crosses in the first half, one of which was terrible, one of which was good. And he had a couple of, like his set pieces, his corners, like free kicks are terrible. His corners in the last game, that whipper that kind of, they land right behind where the goalkeeper is, that back post, he was really on it. Now in the second half, I think he banged in 5-6 crosses. But maybe we were kind of feeling, it was Leeds. We had a lot of possession. It's like, what are you going to do with possession after you've tried to come through the sides and up the middle, maybe bang in a few crosses? So I thought the first half was a bit more meaningful, and hopefully what we're going to see more of, which is a calmer Cedric picking his moments. 1 or 2 crosses, problem.
A what, Cedric?
A calmer.
Can you give me that word again?
Calm.
People love it. People love the word can.
In your language, can.
My issue is Cedric. His enthusiasm. He needs to switch it off now and again, because every time I see him running out of my screen one way, and then I can't see him coming back the other way. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he tries hard, Clive.
Yeah, he tries hard. He tries really hard.
A little too hard.
Don't overlap. We don't need you to overlap. It's a long way back. Do you know you're playing a counter-attacking team? We don't need you to make it a 4-way overload. You can just stand still, mate. Do you know what I mean? And take a breather. We need you to be sharp in the tackle, really good at distribution, nice clips over their back line, and really sharp coming from out to in to smash them centrally. That's what I want you to do today.
Big news. Breaking news. Thanks to Hiron's Gaming for hitting us up with the James Benge update, presumably off of Twitter. Arsenal starting their defensive warm-ups in a 4. Tomiyasu on the left, Cedric on the right.
Yeah.
So how scared should Heung-min Son be by this now, Clive? Very scared, or just not even play, just leave the pitch? All right, no, we'll let Paul. Paul's got his hand in the air, and he's waving it like he sort of cares. What is it? What is it?
I want Clive to answer, but I'm going to try and settle him down just a little more, which is in a couple of games recently, like the United game and the West Ham game, I think. Like he was in all sorts of trouble, but we managed to fudge it with him. Now I know Son is a different kettle of fish, but between flopping and falling over and one way or another, and between the centre back, he's kind of just about held on enough. Now I don't love this against Son, but despite some kind of clown shoesy kind of effect, he has just about held on to his position in that side of the pitch. And yeah, that's all I got for you, Clive.
That's not helping, mate. I can hear my heart coming through my chest. Right. So why is Cedric playing? Because he's experienced. He's played many times for his country.
And we love his crosses.
His stadium's not going to bother him. Nuno's worst games have all come away from home. He can't take this environment, and they couldn't risk it. And even though I'm a fan of Nuno, I'm not stupid, right? So I think that's one thing. I will say to you, and I've done this myself, sometimes when you're doing a warm-up drill, you do a warm-up drill knowing they're watching you, and you warm up in a certain way to fool the opposition. And we do it. I do things like we have players standing, our best ball players who can really strike a ball, we get them to stand like 50 yards apart, and we ping it to each other, let them know that we can play. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we line up in a 3.
Arteta was talking about this, Clive, about watching the warm-ups, and that he sends out one of his coaches to watch the other side.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Vice versa.
And sometimes we do things like that. Sometimes, on occasion, we line up in a 5 and then we play the game in a 4. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to happen in this case. One thing I do know, I will say to you, Conte's system is absolutely clear and does not change. What happens is the execution changes. How he plays, he might roll somebody high on the wing backs. He might go from a fullback to a winger on one side. He might do those things, but the formation, the setup, the 2 in, the balance, it stays the same. He might go 1+2 up front, but he's always played a box, so he has a box in midfield, 2 deeper mids, 2 higher mids, attacking mids. With Kane making it almost like a flips in between them and they push up high. Hey, look, it is what it is. I shouldn't be thinking this much about the game. I need to get out of here. I need to go and I need to sort myself out and have a drink. But let's see what happens. Long as we control that central area, long as we control the transitions, but more importantly, control our emotions and control the ball, I think we can maybe dictate the story, get the first goal, do not concede the first goal. Let's go from there.
I like it. All right, well, let's shift to predictions and let you go. And I'm going to start to get set up for the watch along. So just as a reminder, we are going to be doing a watch along. I've never done that before, and I'm not even sure I know what it is other than a thing that always ends up with Mark Goldbridge going viral for being an idiot. So hopefully that's not what this will be. That is certainly not the plan. Get your predictions in the comments. I'll try to pop them up there in a second. Paul, start with you. What are you feeling?
I got to say I'm nervous. We're at their toilet bowl. They're well set up, experienced manager, experienced team. I got to say I'm feeling 3-0 for them.
Clive, you don't understand. He's doing that intentionally.
I know.
He's doing that intentionally because the last time he did
I'm not.
That's your actual belief, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I don't know.
I actually think we might win 1-0. That's how I think it's going to go. 1-0. It'll be edgy, but I think we might do it. I know you're on a clean sheet for a while, but I just fancy 1-0. That's not me being scared. I just think it's all we need, right? So I would say 1-0 or 1-1, but I can't do 2, right? So.
I mean, I'm freaking out here, guys. I don't know how you're sounding so calm. Like, I'm really going nuts. I've got the game up now. So let's see if I can, how can I zoom this in a little so I can see it a little better? We're gonna do our best here to survive this. But I look, I don't know. I mean, Clive, like I'm freaking out about this. Like, what?
Hold on, mate. You meant to be. You have to. You do know you have to talk for the next few hours and make some
I'm getting the
sense.
game set up, so I'm sort of vamping a little bit. But
yes, I noticed when I'm on. I tell you what, I listened to your podcast you did yesterday. You three, and when I'm not on, you turn into negative Nellies. I tell you that, mate. Tell you, Paul, what are you gonna? I need you to sort them out. I can't.
What are you talking about?
Didn't I try?
I need you to sort them out, mate. I'll tell you. Yeah. But so yeah, it's hey, look, we're all going through it at the moment, and we all have our way of going through
Clive,
it.
Clive, the difference is I try and sort them out, but they don't listen to me.
That he's not wrong. I mean, I'm gonna level with you. He's not wrong. Well, what I mean, Clive, how big is it? Compare it to the the FA Cup final.
It's
huge.
Compare
it to the FA Cup final that we had.
I'm gonna be really pragmatic here. Let's be brutally honest. None of us expected to be here, right? None of us did. Not with this group. If we can pick this team that's playing this game tonight, and I've critiqued about 4 of them consistently over the last 400 episodes of our Division podcast. So none of us expect us to be here. We almost have 0 to lose. And I think that's why there's smiling faces around with these young players. This is not part of our plan. We're not meant to be here. Look at the names on that team sheet. Look at the people that have left. Look at the people who got paid off, couldn't be bothered. Right? So this is we don't expect to be here. We're putting this on ourselves as fans because we don't want to lose to them. But that goal is still there for us. If we can accelerate this project by a year, that's huge. That is really huge. And this is the time to shine. We all were kept away from the club for 18 months or so, behind closed doors. The bad things happened that we overanalyzed because that's all we could do. We couldn't go down the road to get a drink, right? So now the light is shining when we can all see it. We can see the crowds. We all feel connected. This is the time to shine. But let's not hang ourselves if it doesn't work out tonight, because we have to be honest. The expectations have been thrust upon us based on the tactical acumen and the decisions made by the management and the team in the last year or so. And some of them we didn't agree with, and some of them we challenged, which is our want. But let's not have an expectation that's beyond where we are. None of us would have called this, and we are literally a couple hours away, potentially, of having a moment. And we're all going to meet at the end of the season on the last game. And if it all goes well, can you imagine what that'll be like?
No.
I dare
Nope.
not. I dare not even think about it.
Wait, can you
Imagine
do
what
that
I
gesture again, Paul? What was that gesture? I just want to make sure. Hang on. What? One more time with that? Now clear up what it is we're going to be doing together.
A pint in each hand.
Yeah.
Okay. A pint in each hand. Okay, cool. Clive, finishing off.
Yeah, so and that's it, right? So it's going to be tough, right? But I do think I do think sometimes you get things in life you deserve, and I think we deserve this. I really do. So whether it's tonight, whether it's Sunday, they've got a tough game against Burnley. Whether it's Monday night, we'll soon know. We'll soon know.
All right, I'm going to let you go, Clive, because I know you're absolutely bricking it and you're trying to pretend like you're not. So Clive's on Twitter at ClivePFC.
Yes, thank you.
You will be back for the instant reaction over on Patreon, though.
I will be back, Elliot.
Regardless, like it or not, you can't duck out of that.
I've got no choice. Paul's just laughing. I got no choice. All right, have fun.
No, you don't.
And don't get
See you
too
later.
negative. See you later, mate. Bye-bye.
All right,
luck.
Clive's on Twitter, ClivePFC. Thanks, Clive. Paul,
Yeah.
I'm just going to ask you before this all goes to how I've got the game up on my screen. And I'm not going to lie to you. They're showing the players warming up on the pitch, and already like his palms are sweaty. I mean, there's vomit on my sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. Like I'm not coping very well, if I'm being honest. There are 1,600 people watching though, according to my little ticker thing. So I have to try to keep it together. Is this one of those types of games?
Imagine doing a watch along, Elliot. I don't know how you're going to do it.
I don't know that it'll, I may not make it 7 minutes in. I may just be like, bye everybody. It was good to see you. I mean, let's be honest. And I will be popping your comments up on the screen throughout. Right. My knee, his palms are sweaty, knees weak. Oh, come on. Why can't I get, this just shows you where my brain is right now. I'll blame it on the COVID fog. My knees are weak though. A lot of me is weak though. Let's be honest. Paul, is this one of those cliche games? You hear this a lot. Take it in sections, right? Get to 15 minutes or get to 10 minutes, right? Is there a sense that the way to do this is, all right, first 5 minutes, I want you to keep it tight. Don't try to overplay. Get it away from your goal. Get the feel of the ball. Then the next 15 minutes, I want you to try to come to terms with it. Let's trigger our press a little bit, see how they cope. When we get to the 30-minute mark before halftime, I want to get into halftime. If we're still level, let's get into our mid-block, not leave any space, get into halftime and protect that level score. Is this a situation where you really have to game plan based on game situation, manage it for minutes? I mean, I'm sure Mikel would love drinks breaks in this kind of a game, but is that the right way to work it out? Have scenarios for 15-minute chunks and just try to manage your way through the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the young team, this level of energy, excitement, fear, playing at the enemy's home, the crowd going crazy, 15 minutes at a time. I do think he'll want to start with high energy because it's very hard to create energy later on in the game. But what he'll want to do is compensate for lack of experience, lack of that across a game intelligence of knowing where you're at and how hard to push and when to push on the open door and when to kind of hold back and not go crazy just because you feel like there's a goal there. So I think he will want to tell them to take it in sections. What those sections may be, a little bit dependent on game set. And I think Clive and I kind of hit the same point, which is 1-0 for us after halftime would be perfect. Way better than 1-0 be kind of earlier in the game, because that kind of changes the energy of who's chasing who and who's going after who. I would love it to settle into a game in which we're playing well, managing it, and get our goal early in the second half. And then we get to play cat and mouse with them. But yeah, those sections, get to halftime in 15-minute chunks. The first 15 minutes, I still think we're going to start with a high energy.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, because here's the funny thing, right? I guess this is the really interesting thing, and we'll start to transition now to the watch along. So I just want to let you know, and in fact, we can just do this. Watch. This is how professional this is. Watch along coming up.
Ooh.
Enter. Done. Look at that. Bang. There it is. So the way I think about this is, I actually think when you look at that back five, Paul, this is where Spurs almost have like a Jedi mind trick going on, because the irony is, I look at this team and the way I think you'd want to hurt them is to press them. I don't think they have players who would be good at playing out from the back. I don't think possession-wise they have the kind of players to control. And if you can get in there and press them, I think you can really hurt them. I really do. And Lloris, I don't think is phenomenal distributing from the back. So they're the perfect team to press because of their weakness at the back, but the worst team to press because of the way they can hurt you if they get it out. And that really is the conundrum with them, right? Because if you can push them back and press them, I don't think they can handle it well. But if they can get beyond it, no one can hurt you like Spurs. Literally, I don't know if there's any team in the league that can hurt you like Spurs. So how do you think about that dichotomy, and whether Mikel Arteta might be tempted to say, let's just see how that crappy back five handles a little pressure, or is it too big a risk?
Well, I think both Conte is going to conspire to bring that about. I mean, they're pretty aggressive playing from Lloris to the center backs to their wing backs, and like, we do go after those guys when they want to play it around at the back. And we've had some recent joy against Leeds, a team that aggressively played out from the back. And the thing is not to get sucker punched. And so we got to do it, but we got to really have the intelligent press. We don't have to go all out. Like Eddie got that goal because they made a mistake. He didn't get that goal chasing good playing out from the back play. So we got to be contained and wait for the moment, the one where you really go for it. We got done by Liverpool in January with them playing out from the back with that ball from, I think it was Matip. Remember the backheel flick by Firmino to Alexander-Arnold, who does the diagonal across our midfield. That's how they got their first goal, Liverpool. They're just so good playing out from the back. So we will press. We got to press. They will play out from the back because that's the spider's web they weave. But we got to be super smart and intelligent and just don't get carried away. So, yeah.
We haven't talked at all about Eddie Nketiah, really.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sort of been the man of the moment. Eric Dyer, he's converted to the center back in a 5. I don't think he's that intimidating for someone like Nketiah, I think, who can win the physical battle with him, win the foot race with him. I think, my tendency is to look at their defense on the edges, which I think is really vulnerable. But that Dyer and Nketiah matchup could be really interesting. And
Davinson Sanchez as well. There's a loose ball bouncing around between those two guys, and that is kind of his specialty. Getting to it before anybody else can snaffle it up. Yeah, that's a real chance for Eddie to get his goal here.
Let me ask you something. Let's say we don't get it done tonight. I know none of us want to think about that, but just really quickly, in terms of psychology, you beat Newcastle and you beat Everton, and you're in the Champions League no matter what happens tonight. So do you have a sense of the importance of coming out of this game not sort of psychologically hurt by, you can't lose the derby and not be psychologically hurt. I get it. But how do you want to manage that? Because it's still very much in your hands, whatever happens tonight. So is there a challenge in managing that psychologically, Paul, to where you make this game feel like everything, but not so much so that you can't rock up on Monday, switched back on to go win at St. James Park if you have to?
Yeah, I think Arteta's, from the clips we hear, he's very good at this stuff. He'll set it up for them so that they see they can win this tonight, but that they keep themselves contained, because a draw is a great result. But if we don't win it, he'll get their heads right for, you want to play in the Champions League. Teams who want to play in the Champions League go to Newcastle and win. they handle Everton at home. Those are the teams who go to the Champions League.
It's kind of similar, isn't it, to what like what City are doing right now? I get it. We're not City, right? But it's the point that they get knocked out of the Champions League. It's a big psychological scar. They still have everything on the line in the league, and they've just gone out and absolutely pumped the teams they've played in the league since then. And like, whatever happens tonight, you have to believe you're sitting in fourth, controlling your destiny for a reason. You deserve to be here. Is that the hardest part with young players, to sort of convince them they deserve it, they belong here, right? Because I think when you're a team of 28-year-olds and 29-year-olds who have done it before and before and before and before, you know you belong there. You know, Saka, granted, he made it to a European, a Euros final, right? Kicked the last ball in a European Cup final. So like he's been there in a sense. And some of these players have been on a big stage, but they haven't been through this together. And part of the job is just to convince them they belong, right?
Yeah. Well, the beauty is that Saka belongs on the same pitch as Harry Kane or any of these players. He knows that. He's basically our youngest player. Xhaka, no fears about playing with these guys. I think our younger guys will look around this pitch. Like Gabriel doesn't fear these guys. He's beaten them. Our younger guys will look around the pitch. And then there's two types of young guys. There's the guys who don't know that they can do it. That's not these young guys. Martinelli, you know, he's a project. He knows he's a project. He's now an international for Brazil. Kind of the highest kudos you can get if you're Brazilian. Like, you just think Brazil is the best footballing nation in the world. He's been to the Olympics. Like, you look across Martin Odegaard, he's got no fear of these guys. He knows he belongs. Captain to Norway. A top talent, has came through the Real Madrid setup there. We got so many young players, but none of the young players who didn't expect to be playing at this level someday. Smith Rowe.
So here it is.
Yeah, Smith Rowe has now played for England twice, 3 times. He's started for England a couple of times. He's played with Harry Kane. You know, that fear of being on the same pitch with these guys, they know. Most of these guys know they belong, and they're going to bring a youthful fearlessness that you don't normally see with young guys. So it might be just about as good as it gets with young players.
Well, here we go. So, Paul, I will let you go to enjoy it. I am going to
up the Arsenal.
Somehow engage in a watch along. Presumably, the teams are out. I will try to give everyone an update on where I am time-wise, but it's nervous time. Paul, good luck. Come on, Arsenal. We love you.
Yep.
Later, bud.
Bye.
All right, here we go, everybody. We are switching over to, let's see how this looks. Give me a heads up in the chat on whether this looks really janky and stupid. So I put this together. I am not particularly good at this kind of stuff. Just be honest. Really stupid? Get it off the screen. What are you thinking? Just tell me. And then I can do that underneath it. You like it? All right. You think so? I want to be clear, and I want everybody to hear this. I have no intention of turning into Mark Goldbridge. And if that starts to happen, I want you to immediately discipline me in some way in the comments and let me know that that is totally unacceptable. I just want to say, I love you guys, and we're all in this together. And it feels like a really big night. I started off this stream, and if you weren't here when I started, by saying, screw the people that tell you top 4 doesn't matter. Screw the people that tell you, oh, you're a big club, you should want more than that. Getting this means more football for Arsenal next season, a more exciting season for us next season. Getting this means something, and it means something important. And I don't think it should be underestimated. And I think we should care and we should want this, right? If you look at where we want to be and where we've been in our history, games like this are why you do it. You do it because you want games like this. So all I can say is be heroes. Be heroes, you guys. That's what this is about. Tomiyasu on my screen. The other thing I'm going to try to do, if this goes really bad, play us a tune. Okay, fair enough. We'll get the guitars off the wall. Let's not think like that. Let's think like this. Let's go. Come on, Arsenal. North London forever. North London is red. So much on the line. The players take a knee to remind us that racism is not tolerated anywhere and should get the fuck out of our game and out of our world forever. Okay. Odegaard and Xhaka over the ball. I will try to give you updates on where I am time-wise. Time to prep the Mustafi puppet. I've got 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds on the clock, and that's where we're at. Best of luck, everybody. I hope it is a special occasion. So, you know, the thing that I think is going to be interesting to watch in the opening stages here are which team looks like it's wearing the nerves more, right? Am I a Queensryche fan? I have to admit, no, not a Queensryche fan. Clive can't make it for the watch along because he doesn't have the stomach for it. Let's be honest. They go long. Gabriel nice and comfortable on the ball. Ooh, Martinelli away a little bit? Not quite. And there's Tomiyasu on the left. So it is Tomiyasu at left back. It's an interesting choice. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Oh, look at Martinelli just working it past defenders. Good early sign. So it looks like we're not just going to sit back. Everybody pushed into the attacking half. And this is interesting. This is what I was curious about. Will we approach the game on the front foot? The problem with approaching the game on the front foot, right, is that it always looks like you're doing well until you walk right into the trap, the trap. And here they come pressing now, trying to get out. Tomiyasu being two-footed is such a godsend because he just does not look nervous on either side, whichever the way the ball goes to him. Nketiah finds Odegaard, finds Nketiah. He's in. Penalty. No penalty. Oof. Eric Dyer being tested early. We talked about this on the stream. Early warning sign. And Spurs looking nervy. Somebody's nervous. Let's see. Does this look okay? Do we like that? Yeah, it gets cut out a little bit by the... You guys want me to leave that on the screen or does that look janky because it's cut out by the top thing? I can get rid of the top thing too. Just let me know if you want me to keep that on or get rid of it. I don't know how to do any of this. This is all very new to me, so I need you guys to tell me what to do. Tell me if I should get rid of that or get rid of the overlay or anything. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. Arsenal back on the ball. It's all Arsenal. Get rid of it. Can do. Thank you for the heads up. There it goes. It's gone. I'm at 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock, just in case anybody cares. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And there we go. You know, the interesting thing here is early on, it does look like the nerves are weighing a little bit on Spurs. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but some poor clearances. We've decided to press. And look, I love it conceptually because I don't think they're great at playing out. Ooh, Lloris on the stretch. Saka gets there. See, this is it. Oh, Cedric. Odegaard shoots. He never does that. And maybe he shouldn't have that time. He had Martinelli coming in. It's a bright start. 3 minutes and 12 seconds on the clock for me. It's a bad ball out by Lloris. Saka gets to it. I think normally Odegaard looks to play in Martinelli there. That's actually a really clever run. Maybe just the pressure of the moment on a little bit. Who's the ref? Anybody got an idea who the ref is? Yeah, Spurs do look nervy as fuck, Michael. I agree with that. Nervy AF right now. There's Conte. I mean, I don't know what he's saying, but I think what he's saying is, guys, I've already accepted the job at PSG. That's just my guess. Paul Tierney is the ref. I do know that, what's the tactic here? TV comment. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. What you could do is you could just turn it on for the Arsenal goals when I'm losing my mind. Yeah, I feel exhausted as well, Adam. Tierney, the ref. The interesting thing is Mike Dean, the VAR referee, and I know people are feeling pretty bad about that, but the last couple times we've seen Dean, I think he's been trying to make up for all the bad work. Nketiah is all over Lloris. And this is the point, right? Like, unless they just kick it long, what's their outlet? Who's the player back there they can give the ball to and feel good about? 40-second warning for anything horrendous, Stuart. I can do that. 4 minutes and 28 seconds on the clock for me. The press works. Oh, Xhaka's not alive to it. That's not good. I think we were in there, but Xhaka just wanted a little more time, and I think that's a view of where we can improve next season if that left 8 is someone just a little bit more offensively alert. Gabriel using his body well, and then Kulishevsky goes through him, and Gabriel gets up. Keep your head. Keep your head. Keep your head. That's the first time we've seen them try to go long and play him behind. And I thought Gabriel used his body well at first. And then instead of clearing it, he wanted to keep possession. Kulishevsky goes through the middle of him. Did he hit him in the head, Freddie? Let's see it. So he bodies him there. He keeps him behind him well. I think that's good. That's really good use of the body, actually. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's great from Gabriel. And honestly, like, we really need him tonight, I think, because, you know, he's got Holding next to him. Holding's got Cedric next to him. We haven't seen the right side tested yet. Fingers crossed we never do. Ramsdale's going to go long. 5 minutes, 32 seconds on the clock. And we are surviving. So far, so good. And I think thriving, it's fair to say, so far. Rob Holding with an early first touch, and it's a heavy touch, and he just does get it back from Son. Yeah, I don't think I'd want Holding starting the play out from the back necessarily. Yeah, I didn't see Kulu hit Gabriel, but maybe. By the way, if there's anything I'm supposed to be doing with this watch along, let me know, as I obviously don't know what I'm doing in any respect. I'm just kind of freaking out, if I'm being honest. So, yeah. Holding's hair is glorious. He is a poster boy for why you get the transplant. And now we see Spurs starting to go long a little bit more. Holding chases back, and it's out in a touch. Yeah, that looks fine. I mean, yeah, and there's Mikel Arteta looking immaculate as always from a hair perspective as well. Ramsdale goes long. Really no fluency from Spurs yet, although that's not particularly their game. Xhaka heads down. And we're away up the left-hand side. Uh-oh, Tomiyasu loses it. After I just praised him for being two-footed and good on the ball. Gets back well. First time we've really had to settle into our defensive shape. And it's banged right off of Xhaka's back by Emerson, I believe that is. I mean, this is overwhelming, let's be honest. It's really, really overwhelming. 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Oh, it's a good throw-in routine. Kane with, oh no, miscommunication between Gabriel and Ramsdale, but it's cleared. Ramsdale's got to give him a shout. Maybe he did, but Gabriel opts to clean it up. The good news is it was just a hopeful cross. Really no one in there. That was a little more dangerous, but Cedric does a good job following. I'm not sure who that was to. Was that to Sessegnon on the far post? See, this is what I don't... Well, all right. Saka gets out of trouble. I would be inclined to not be too cute on the ball playing out from the back. But we've managed to work it to Xhaka somehow, and it's off to Martinelli. The nerves are impossible. Imagine actually trying to play in the game, let alone watch it. Martinelli takes on Emerson. Not a lot of pressure there, but nobody really helping out. Look at the position Tomiyasu's taking up. You notice that? He's dropped inside to the 8, and Xhaka's dropped into the left back position. I wonder what the thinking is there. Xhaka puts the ball in, but it's return to sender. You notice that? That's an interesting little wrinkle. Are we going to get the aimless Cedric cross? 8 minutes and 23 seconds. Oh, Saka slips. Oh, almost got the rub of the green there with the ball falling to Nketiah. There does seem to be, that's the only thing I would say maybe a little bit of nerves there, is that now in positions where there was space and time, we've seen Odegaard take a shot that normally I think he'd look to find a teammate. We've seen Saka now do it. He slips over. See, that's what Holding can't do. Holding gambles, gets caught, Son on the sprint now. Oh. Gabriel gets the ball. Looks like maybe he went through Son, but he comes away with it. This is courageous, the way we're playing out from the back here. That's brilliant from Odegaard. Nketiah on the sprint. Can he get... No. See, that's the casual stuff you can't do in a derby. Just play it forward to Martinelli. Cross comes in, but it's overhit. It's funny, right? Because you want players that are so cool that in the midst of a derby, they're willing to back heel it to get the counterattack going. But like... discretion has to be the better part of valor at some point, right? I don't know. What I will say is we are trying to work it out from the back. We are sticking to our principles of play, and we are earning the right to play. And right now we are the team on the ball. And like, I definitely think that when you look at a game and one team is sticking to their principles and one team isn't, and it's hard to say because I think Spurs principles are just like try to kick the ball long and get in behind, but we are sticking to our principles of play. And what I think that does is it instills confidence, right? You're not saying to these players, hey, be scared of this game, just sit back and defend. And Holding did go through the back of Son while he was down there a little bit. But to be fair, it's Son and he is a Spur, and kicking him in the back is pretty much not just allowed, but encouraged, I would say. So he goes through him there. Is this... I mean, look, I'm saying you should do it if you get the chance, but maybe don't take too big a risk with Mike Dean on VAR. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the audio is going to be a bit of an issue, but sorry, I'm at 10 minutes and 35, 10 minutes 36, 37. Conte is outraged. He's saying, I haven't even received the paperwork from PSG yet. What's going on? Someone should tell him there's actually a derby going on. Don't worry, your agent's on it, Antonio. You and Kane can both go there. No, I didn't think it was all that subtle either, to be fair. And see, this is the kind of stuff, broken play, where you feel like just get your foot on the ball and get some control. But I do think that the way we're sticking with our principles is a good thing. I mean, you're seeing where the danger is, right? Like Rob Holding on Heung-min Son. Oh, a little bit of afters. Look, I get that it's the derby. I get it. And you have to stand up for yourself, and you got to be up for the fight. But like, there's a level. I don't know. Get with me. Hit me in the comments here and let me know what you think, guys. Because like Freddie says, Son is getting triggered. Yeah, and like maybe getting them out of their head and getting worked up and losing their composure a little bit. Like maybe that is the right way to go. I always worry because we're Arsenal that we'll get the red card, that we'll wind up getting punished by the referee. But yeah, you got to be up for the fight. So I think that's a good thing. Excuse me. So we'll just see. It's simmering nicely, I think you would say. But the key is no cards. Don't give them an excuse. Make them try to beat you with football, not with the referees, because you know Spurs love nothing more than to rely on the referees. Xhaka coming really wide out to support the left back there. Really interested to see his positioning. A couple of attacks, we've seen him drop into left back and Tomiyasu come into the 8. So I'm sort of wondering what the thought process is there. 12 minutes, 24, 25, 26. All right, so what do we think? About a third of the way through the first half. That's great from El Neni. Kane gets a touch. I mean, I have to be honest, right? Like, it's Kane, it's Son, it's Kulusevski. When they're on the ball, your anxiety, your temperature rises. When they're not, you see why this team, this Spurs team, is not top 4, is not permanently nailed in there, because it's 3 talented attackers and then a lot of distance between them and the rest of the players. Ramsdale goes long. No. Eddie backing in. That's a little too long probably from Ramsdale. Really no control at this stage, right? And this is fine. Why aren't we playing out from the back, Zex Trap ass? Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question. And maybe the decision is we want to press them. Like, where are they weakest? They are weakest in their back 5. So where do we want the ball? We want the ball with their worst ball-playing players, not in a position where their really talented, dangerous players can come try to get the ball off us and create quick-fire scoring chances, right? So I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing to go, let's put the ball in the part of the pitch where they're weakest and go see how they handle the pressure. A little bit more possession now from Spurs. The first 8-10 minutes or so were mostly Arsenal, and now dropping into a bit of a lower block, maybe more of a mid block. 2 banks of 4, 4-4-2 out of possession with Nketiah and Odegaard up front. Now we're going to play short. Yep. And Gabriel, little short for Tomiyasu there. I always think when you're playing out from the back too, that's where you see the anxiety. Are the balls hit crisply, or are they doing this? You see that ball from Gabriel to El Neni, 14-15, 14-16, 14-17. When the ball just kind of just makes it to its target and just rolls there, it's not like ping to the player. It doesn't arrive with information on it. I always think that's a sign of a little bit of anxiety, softly hit balls that just kind of roll their way to their target. So just need to sharpen up with that more. Beautiful switch from Holding to Martinelli. He's on it. He's in. Oh. Good recovery challenge there. Hope this is working for everyone, by the way. I want to say thanks. I know there's about 600 of you joining me for this. And if you want to hit the like or subscribe or whatever, I mean, no time for that now. Watch the Derby. But if there's anything I can do with this that would make it better, just like get into the chat and let me know what it would be, because I've never done this before. And I feel like I'm going to throw up, just like Jay Hoot. Dev says Martinelli is our threat. Yeah, I actually, I think that's right. And it's not really a surprise that the side that has Tomiyasu on it, maybe a little better supported than the side that has Cedric on it. That's a nice ball there. Tomiyasu in behind. It's a beautiful ball. It's a great run from Martinelli. He's got a lot of options. Cut it back. He does. Oh, such a good play from Martinelli there. And they just cut it out from Odegaard's toe. That's beautiful. And that's what Tomiyasu can do. See, that's why I think our right side was so good most of the season and the left side languished. That's a beautiful little through ball. Those runs weren't found before. He found them. Martinelli was in it. And I think Martinelli picks up the right pass there. I think that's the right cut back to Odegaard. Maybe he could take it on from a sharp angle and see if if he gets a deflection off Lloris. Sometimes I think Lloris can be a little bit of a dumpster fire, but I thought that's good play and just last-ditch defending. The first real opening of the game, I think, there, and it falls to Arsenal. Spurs triggering the press now. Cedric's first touch takes him inside. There's a harsh tackle. Eddie Nketiah is down. I think he's fine. 16-10, 16-11. Saka with the press on Davies. He does not deserve that call. He trips him. And does Saka get it? And it's a card for Davies. Yep. I think that's the right call. So Davies with a bit of a heavy touch. Look at Saka switched on, gets his shoulder in front. Beautiful strength from Saka there. Davies goes down like a tree struck by lightning. And then, to be fair, he kind of has to do that. But now he's on a card for the rest of the game, and Saka can go to town. Let's hope he does. 1650, 1651, 1652. So far, so good. Now what's his name? Paul Tierney? What's this guy's name again? I try not to remember the referees. Big moment here. Odegaard over the ball, 17-22, 17-23, 17-24. This feels like a big moment. In swinger to the far post. Nope, it's headed away. Doesn't beat the first man. Cedric over. Just plays it long. Hopeful ball back in. Nobody there. I wish Cedric be a little more composed there. Especially just take your time. All our players are up the pitch. Elneny, really good positioning there. How solid has he been? I mean, look, I know. I have not necessarily loved that player. He's not necessarily been my guy, but God, I mean, he's been really good on this run, and credit to him. So, it is what it is. Let's see here. I probably don't even need to have an earpiece in right now, seeing as how I'm not actually listening to anything. Here comes Spurs now, 18-16, 18-17. Their first chance to attack with numbers. There's Sessegnon on the left, curls it in. Good header out by Gabriel. Xhaka is not alive to the danger, but he just gets it away. Ooh, that was almost a good counterattack. Game opening up a little bit. Emerson pulls it down. Kane on it. Haven't seen a lot of him yet. He says, tempting fate, hopefully not. If I'm actually calming you down, that is good. Jackosaurus asks, how are you feeling, Elliot? I have to be honest, I'm feeling okay about the way we're playing. We're sticking to our principles of play. I think we're hurting them in the kind of areas of the pitch that we thought we might be able to. That's a good omen. We've seen the game open up a little bit, but when they've had a run at us, we've handled it pretty well. I think the problem with evaluating a game against Spurs is I don't think they're going to play a lot of good football. I think they're going to kill you out of nothing, whereas, we are going to build play nicely, press nicely, and probably have to have a decent chunk of the ball in the attacking third to create our chances. So it's sort of hard to evaluate them because as a footballing side, I don't think they're anything special, but that's not their USP. So here they go. They are trying to play the football now, though. 1935, 1936, slung in cross. Elneny gets it out. Nketiah is there. Really nice stuff from him. Gets it to Xhaka. Granite has not been on it today, if we're being honest. A few giveaways, a few passes sold short under pressure. He needs to just liven up. Maybe the nerves. I think sometimes I've done this too. Have you ever done this? Critical of players who look like they're loafing. I'm at 2004, 2005, 2006. Players who look like they're loafing, but I think nerves can make you look like you're loafing. Ball in and penalty. I mean, now we got to pray to the God of Mike Dean, the God of our Mike Dean, because I don't see it. So this is the thing. And this is the part that I feel like referees get wrong so much in football. Don't be the story. It's a little push. There is nothing there. It's physical. I mean, it's bad from Cedric. Let's be honest. It is bad from Cedric. And it's not something you'd like to see him do. And the problem here is it a clear and obvious error? I mean, the referees association, you know how they are. They're going to back each other. He's not going to call that back. And this is the problem. They haven't been playing. This is what I was saying. They haven't been playing at all. And now you let them take the lead. And with the lead, we have to push more. And they can just sit back and counter, which suits them down to the ground. Look, if it happened to us, would we want it given? Of course we'd want it given. But we wouldn't expect it to be. And it's a derby, and it's supposed to be a little bit physical. You got to go earn a win in a derby. Kane doesn't miss penalties, so this is, nothing. I mean, this is how he stat pads his whole career. Hopefully all the way out of Spurs. Yep, slots it. Wasn't no Spurs. They haven't played any football. They haven't done anything to hurt us. They put in a hopeful cross to the back stick that's, I think, too deep, not going anywhere. So now it just depends on what kind of Arsenal fan you are, right? Are you the kind of Arsenal fan that wants to be furious with Cedric? In my younger days, I'll admit, I was that kind of Arsenal fan. And right now I'm feeling, pretty annoyed at him, if I'm being honest, you guys. But why does the referee want to be the story of the match there? Why does the referee want to make himself the story? It's a derby, and I'm not saying that the laws of the game go out the window in a derby. They don't, of course. But is that a moment that deserves to decide this game with this much on the line? Do you want to look back and say, hey, what decided the derby that decided top four? And granted, this game can't decide it for them. It can only decide it for us. But do you want to look back and say, yep, that's how we decided it? It's nonsense. It's a nonsense. And I mean, look, it is bad from Cedric. And the funny thing is that angle, I'm at 2304, 2305, 2306. That angle that Tierney had, I do think that looks bad, right? The camera view, the TV view, it just looks like the kind of stuff that happens in the box. But from that ground level looking in at it, it looks like he shoulders him. And he doesn't need to do it. And it's just like, it's a big, big moment. Yeah, I mean, Matthew asking if I can blame Cedric for that. I think if he just stands his ground, he doesn't have the risk. I think he puts a little into it. But the point is, right? I think you have the right as a pro to presume that kind of stuff is not going to be called in a game of this magnitude. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to say, hey, that's a foul and that's a penalty, I mean, you won't get an argument from me saying no chance. Just don't decide a game with that. It's so silly. Well, anyway, look, it's all to do, and it's still totally doable. I don't think it's a penalty. I think it's a referee wanting to be the story. And for a referee to want to be the story in a derby, I don't know. I don't know about that. Anyway, look, this isn't lost by any chance. I know our record when we've been down a goal. I know their record when they're up a goal. I understand it. But they were up against Liverpool and they gave it away. And It's all there to play for still. It's early, 24, 24-40, 24-41, 42. Attacking down the left side. Good overlap. Good cross. Odegaard on the back stick. Oh, Lloris spills it. It's an open net. No, Martin, come on. Oh, just slide it out to someone. And that's the point. They're nervy. They're going to give you chances, but you have to execute. It's good play for Martinelli to play in Xhaka, who stands one up at the back post. Lloris spills it. Oh, just play it out to Cedric there. He's got the whole net open. Lloris goes long. Tomiyasu wins the first header. Little bit of an elbow from Emerson there, maybe. And Martinelli's hurt. Martinelli and Emerson came together, and Martinelli is hurt. I mean, you've got Smith Rowe on the bench, so it's not the end of the world, but I don't think that's what we want. And now Holding's going to get a card. Yeah. Hey, you committed 2 fouls. I got to give you a card. Is that how football works? That's your second foul, so you get a card? I mean, good competing. He goes through him there a little bit. That's never a card. I don't want to be talking about the referees. I don't. Does anybody want to be talking about the referees? I mean, the referees want you talking about them, obviously. Good pressing from Nketiah. Bouncing ball out from Lloris, and now here comes the press. Nketiah doesn't get back, though. They go long to nobody in particular. And Gabriel all the way back to Ramsdale. Kulishevsky chasing the lost cause. 26-24, 26-25, 26-26. Straight giveaway from Cedric. I mean, the one thing you cannot do against Spurs. And now it's Kane into the box. Great challenge from Tomiyasu. Holy cow. That is sensational from Tomiyasu. Whew. First real sight of goal for Kane other than the time he was put on the penalty spot, which he's contractually obligated to be. Really, really bad giveaway from Cedric. Nutmeg on Gabriel. And look at that from Tomiyasu. That's as good as a goal. Yeah, good nutmeg there by Kane. He's got Tomiyasu beat in the recovery. That's really, really good. Spurs fans are excited because they're like, oh, wait, we can get chances in our hand to us by the referee. That's amazing. And now here's the question. So let me ask you something if you're Arsenal, right? I think if I asked any of you guys, do you want Arsenal to be up for the fight? Do you want Arsenal to be physical? Do you want Arsenal to give it as good as they get it? You'd say yes, right? Yeah. They need to be up for the fight. They need to give it as good as they get it. And I just don't understand how you do that now because the referee is sort of clearly demonstrating an intent to take that physicality out of the game. I'd be very confused if I'm an Arsenal player right now saying, look, I know it's a derby. I know you have to win your individual battles. I know you have to be physical. But you look at that card given to Holding, you look at the penalty given away, that sends a very different kind of message. I don't know. 27-59, 28, 28-01. Saka down at the byline. Ball goes out for a goal kick. Yeah, first goal is massive, Freddie. I agree with you. But I don't think it's over by any means, obviously. I feel the way we're playing, there's still something there for us in this game. Just don't give it away. I mean, Cedric, maybe in his head, they give it away. Here we go. Martinelli gives it to Odegaard. Gosh, they've been so sloppy on the ball. Odegaard slips it to Xhaka. Overlap? No, he skies it. That is the third bad shot we've taken from a good position. The derby is 50% physical and 50% psychological. And you just need to keep your cool. Can't take shots like that from that situation. I'm going to slide this over a little bit. If there's anything I am not doing correctly with this, by the way, let me know. And thank you guys for being along for the ride. 30 minutes. Well, 29-12, 29-13. Here goes Martinelli. He's away. Ooh, strong two-footed lunge. Another strong lunge. Guess they can be physical. That's what I'm talking about, though. You know, that's how this game is supposed to be played. So far, I think tactically we're getting the better of them. I mean, obviously Kane had the chance from a straight Cedric giveaway, but you know, other than that, I think we've been fine. I'm feeling like nervous energy to play with my microphone here. Sorry. One back, well, Xhaka can't get on it. I feel like Xhaka's just been a little bit of a step slow, a little bit off tonight. Not terrible, just a little bit. They're in. It's a good cross. And look, credit to Cedric. That's another fantastic saving challenge there. By the way, did Cedric get a card for the penalty? Does anyone know? I don't think so, right? This is really good. He stays alive. He matches Kane's run. It's a really good ball across from Kulusevski. And Cedric is there. Trying to line up the microphone. Forgive me. Oh, man, I am freaking out, in case you can't tell. See, no, he didn't get a card. Okay, so no card for Cedric from the penalty incident. 30-46, 30-47. And I think you'd say at this point, we've had the better of it. There's nothing to feel afraid of. They've really been gifted one. The only thing you hope, right? And I always wonder, do referees do this? Does Tierney go into the dressing room at halftime and see how soft that is and say, if I get a chance to go the other way with one, I'll make it up to him? Because right now he's deciding this game not on the merits, holding with a good interception, and Elneny gives it away. And that's just the stuff you cannot do. Don't give it away in the final third where their best players can come hurt you. Kane, Son, nearly plays the 1-2. Saka on it now. Saka back to Cedric, back to Saka. We're playing out of tight spaces here. And throw in the Spurs. Saka needs to get back on the pitch. 31-40, 31-41, 42-43. And here we go. Bringing the ball forward. 31-59, 32. Spurs with possession, but they are not going anywhere. Long ball from the back to Ramsdale. Holding's gone. What on earth is Paul Tierney doing? What is he doing? Look, Rob Holding, squad player. You know, Cedric, squad player. These are guys being thrown into the biggest pressure moments at the very end of the season with everything on the line. And that's asking a lot of them. But this has been taken from them. And I think it is so unfair. Okay. That doesn't look great on replay. I hate to say it. It doesn't look great. He puts the elbow up. He just leaves a little on him for no reason. It's kind of like what Cedric did. If you just stand there, you're fine. But he leaves a little on him. I mean, if you ask me, should that be a yellow card? I think it should be a first yellow card. I don't think it should be a second. So you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when Gabriel sent off in the City game, guys? Do you remember this? So Gabriel gets the dumb first yellow for arguing that he shouldn't have gotten. Then he gets the second yellow at the halfway line, I believe is what happened. And that second yellow, in my mind, was a yellow, but it's harsh because it sends him off and it takes the game from us. And that's kind of how I feel about this. I actually think the second yellow is more yellow than the first. Don't give the first, but don't decide the game. You have now given a penalty and a red card in 34 minutes of football where nothing's happened. I mean, it's a little roll of the shoulder. It's not a flare of the elbow. And it's just like, there's no drama here. There didn't need to be a penalty. There didn't need to be a red card. And as if you're Paul Tierney now, and you go into the dressing room and you go watch this video, are you going to think they gave me no choice? I had to ruin this game? No. You're going to think I decided this game on 50-50 calls. Look at this. You've got a packed stadium and people watching all over the world for a game that's supposed to be a potential top 4 decider in the Derby, a game that's filled with, blood and thunder and guts and glory. And you're going to say, I decided it. In 50-50 moments, I decided it. I just cannot imagine why Paul Tierney would go into this game this way. And now Saka's hurt. And of course, it's a foul on Højbjerg by Saka, but that's another story. So down a man, down a goal. The goal comes from a penalty. The red card comes from 2 yellows that are both 50-50. Saka gets his ankle stepped on, and the call goes to Spurs. Anyone see it differently? Does anyone see this differently? Like, and again, I want to be clear on the holding incident. I think holding's second yellow isn't great by him. I don't think it has to be a yellow that sends a player off. I think Tierney can say, you're walking a fine line, give him a talking to. Come on, like you see it all the time. How many games have we been in where players get second chances and third chances and fourth chances? Son whips in the cross. Kane across the box and Tomiyasu clears. And I'm not saying that you don't want your players to be more switched on, but in a derby, you can't go in 50-50 on guys. I don't know. So here we go. Corner kick coming in, down to 10 men. 36-23, 36-24, 36-25. That's all we're going to be talking about tomorrow is the ref. It's not how you want it. Son to deliver the corner. Headed into Kane, who puts it in at the back stick. It's a good corner routine. It's 2-0, down to 10 men, and I think that's game over, right? And you don't want to feel that way 36 minutes into the derby. I guess the question now is, do you just go hell for leather to try to get back into it? There's nothing to lose. You could lose this 12-0. It wouldn't matter. It hurts your ego, but you can just come away from the game and say, no, the ref stole it from us if you want. Yeah, he's onside. You could say Nketiah loses him, but I think that's harsh. I think it's a really good corner routine. It's the first header that's just totally free. It's a really good corner routine, it is. But someone's got to be marking the first header. But you're down to 10 men, so. I do sort of feel like the idea that Eddie Nketiah should be marking Kane at the back stick and not have a view of him, that can't be right. Their biggest danger man is Harry Kane, and no one has eyes on him. That doesn't feel like that's how it's supposed to be, but what do I know? I will say to Mohit, who's saying stop doing pre-match shows, the last time we did it was a midweek game. It was the Chelsea game, and we won. Yeah, I don't know. I know that we want blame for everything all the time, but I just feel like this game got taken away from us in a really meaningful way. So now Martinelli goes in for a challenge in the box. No, what do you know? They don't get the call. Offside, I guess we're not allowed to play advantage now. All right, whatever. They're making it up as they go along. And so I don't know, if anybody watching this has ever listened to me, and I don't know how many of you listen to me on podcasts or whatever, I hate blaming referees. I hate it. You're responsible for your own play. You're responsible for your own performance. Just because a referee is, giving you a rough time or the calls don't go your way doesn't mean you have to give a game away. But in a very, very big game, in a game with everything on the line, in a derby, and it's going to be emotional and physical and all ratcheted up, I just think if I'm a referee, I go in with the mentality of I'm going to try not to decide this game. I'm going to let them play and, see if they can manage their way through the game here. And in order to give away a penalty or send a man off, I'm just going to take that tolerance level up just a little bit more. Ramsdale cleverly gets away from Kane, 39-23, 39-24, 25, 26, 27. But like he's done the opposite of that, right? Holding is to blame for the red. So Burner, let me respond to this in chat. He says, holding is to blame for the red. I think the second one is bad from holding. I really do. I didn't think the first one should be a yellow. And I mean, I can hear Clive's voice in my head. You don't have to send him off there. And by the way, like I'm as critical of the team and players as anybody. I really am. If I think they deserve it. Like I think Cedric's, like the penalty, the one thing I'll say about the penalty is when you view it from the angle that Tierney had, Cedric looks like he shoulders him. I don't think it's good. I think if Cedric just stands there, nothing happens. And I think Holding's second challenge can be a yellow. I don't think the first one is. And for people who are saying, stop talking about the referees, and I'll move on from it. But find me what we've done wrong in this game. We played well. I mean, Cedric had a giveaway that led to a Kane chance. Tomiyasu blocks. Fine. The corner kick is poorly defended. Okay. But like the balance of the game, we're playing fine. And I just, I don't know. Like I just feel like it's been taken from us. And I don't want to be feeling that way, but I do. So, well, let's talk about what you do now, right? I mean, this game does not matter at 5-0, 6-0, 10-0, 12-0, 20-0. It does not matter. We have to beat Newcastle. We have to beat Everton. I'd like to take the position that this game is still there for us to be a part of it. You get the next goal and who the hell knows? I mean, look at the Leeds game. We're 2-0 up. We're a man up against a dead team. They get a goal and they made it nervy late. So here comes Kane. No, I mean, the problem is right now the heads seem to be gone. Let's be honest. Ball comes across, Emerson on the back post. It's hard to see us keeping them out the way we're playing right now. But like the way it went with the Leeds game, you can see that when you can get a goal back and make it 2-1 and create some doubt, anything can happen. So we'll just see what we're able to do. Like right now, I just feel super depressed because you're 41 minutes in and it doesn't feel like there's anything left to contest in this game. And now we have to go and rock up at Newcastle and win and beat Everton at home and get it done and shove this down their throats. And who cares? But like Holding won't be available for Newcastle. Fine. Ben White's back. Like I think that's no big deal. I do want to ask this question. If there's not going to be any Rob Holding for Newcastle and Ben White, we know he's playing, I think it's a hamstring. And, it was just a case of whether he feels good enough to play. Obviously he felt good enough to be on the bench, but not to start. Is there some danger to using Ben White here if that hamstring goes and you don't have Holding against Newcastle? That would be something I guess you have to think about if you're Arteta in this moment. Or we didn't bring Ben White on, did we? Sorry, I'm an idiot. I spaced. Pardon, we moved Tomiyasu over to center back. Saka coming through the middle. He's got Martinelli on the overlap. Oh, and Nketiah takes it right off him. Actually, nice shot by Nketiah. Curler. Well saved by Lloris. 42-55, 42-56. Little sign of life there. That's a good shot. And like, the funny thing is, I think he took it off of Martinelli, who was in, but that's really well taken. And I think it's probably going off the top of the crossbar or over, but Lloris makes the save. Here we go. I mean, what's the halftime team talk, right? The halftime team talk is find a goal from somewhere and make them show you that they won't shit the bed. So here we go. 43-24. Saka hits the first man. It's a terrible corner, if we're being honest. I mean, anything, a cheap goal, a penalty of our own, you take anything. 43-34, 43-35. We've regrouped a little bit. What is the halftime team talk, right? I mean, do you say they're out to get us and you just try to build that us against them mentality and say, go find a goal, make them show that they can hold their nerve? Big switch from Gabriel. Good control by Martinelli up against Emerson. Head down, cuts inside, gets it across to Odegaard. Oh, mishit. And I think once again, where I got to be critical is A lot of players taking early snapshots when maybe they have time. That's the one that I don't think is a yellow. They're showing it again. That's just football. That's just football. You want to call a foul there, fine. This one, that's bad from holding. Okay, I'm going to say this. Look, even if you don't think he should be sent off, let me say this about Rob Holding. You are on a yellow card in the derby. What are you doing? What are you doing putting your forearm through the guy's head? What are you doing? You got to keep your composure. Much in the same way that Cedric gives a little of this when he can just stand there. Rob Holding is under no pressure there. You don't have to flare that elbow when you're on the yellow card. Just come on. 45:02, 45:03, 45:04. Building from the back through El Neni. 2 minutes to play. 2 minutes stoppage time. Tomiyasu brings it across, plays it to Odegaard. Out to Saka, who's sort of drifted central now, I guess. Martinelli isolated on 2. Oh, he just goes right past Emerson, but Emerson does catch him up, and that's a throw in for Arsenal. Taken quickly. Saka to Xhaka to El Neni. Come on. Fashion something out of nothing. Why not? They can do it. Yeah, this is going to be tough now. Tomiyasu out to Cedric. Step over. And the cross. Martinelli gets to it. Ball falls to him. He's got Emerson on toast. Plays it into Saka. Get in it. Get it in. Ooh, Lloris comes and claims over Eddie. 46 minutes. 1 minute to play in the half. Or 1 minute of stoppage time remaining. Tottenham up by 2. A penalty and a corner kick. Rob Holding sent off for 2 yellow cards. And I mean, this is exactly what Spurs want, obviously, because their strength is counterattacking. And now they don't have to go do anything. They can just sit and wait for us to come at them. But 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline, as Kirk points out in the chat. We stabilized a little bit. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. But if this doesn't get turned around, and that's a nice ball played into Kulusevski by Kane, gets it at the byline, Xhaka there defending. Ooh, he gets nutmegged. But El Neni's there. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, with the benefit of all the replays, Holding second yellow looks like really bad play from Rob Holding. Like, I don't look, if you're inclined to want to be furious at the referees, I get that. If you're inclined to want to be furious with the player, I get that. On a yellow card, don't do that. Don't do that. And like, look, let me say it like this, okay? And it's halftime. If you're on a yellow card and the referee's calling it tight, gave you a first yellow you don't deserve, I'll give you that. Don't give him a chance to send you off under no pressure. If you have to do that because you're about to lose a header that's going to concede a goal and it costs you, all right, so be it. I'm not going to be hearing the studio show, but I'll be curious to know what they think of the refereeing. Anybody in the chat want to do me a favor and maybe just let me know what the sentiment is online about how we're playing or about the refereeing or about any of the decisions? What's the prevailing sentiment here over on the Twitters and stuff? Because it's not great right now. Let's get a banner going. Tottenham 2, Arsenal 0. Yeah, not great. Bob Holding sent off for 2 yellow card offenses is how they say that. Well, let's edit that. Yep. Scroll. Yep. Okay. There's your scroll. And yeah, let's get some comments going here. We'll get the overlay off for a second. Let's get to your comments. We'll get through halftime together. How's that sound? Good. So real quick, my summary. I think a derby is meant to be a hot-blooded occasion. And when top 4 is on the line and it's the third to last game of the season and it's been rearranged from January and everything's riding on it, it's meant to be hot-blooded. And I realize the laws of the game are the laws of the game, but I think it is incumbent upon a referee who takes charge of a game like this to say, I'm going to let some things go. I mean, I have seen some challenges in the last few weeks that were not called red. I mean, Luke Ayling went in 2-footed, flying in, and got a yellow card. Now, granted, VAR overturned it, but that gives you the mindset of these referees. They're not trying to decide games that send teams down or send teams to the Champions League. And for Paul Tierney to go in this game and say, I'm going to give a penalty for a bit of a shoulder barge in the box on a nothing cross. I'm going to give a first yellow for a bit of a nothing tussle in midfield. Those are decisions to make yourself the story of the game. Now, the second Rob Holding yellow card, the more I see it looks worse and worse and worse. Because at that point, you've been warned. Cedric's been given Cedric gave away a penalty for nothing. I mean, for limited, not say nothing, for maybe not smart play, but I don't think it should be a penalty in the derby. You've seen yourself get a yellow for next to nothing. You can't go elbow someone in the head on a nothing ball that's not going to cause any danger. Leaving a little something on Son there is bad play. So my take on this is, we were hard done by a referee who decided to be the story, but we are down to 10 men because Rob Holding didn't keep his head in the heat of the moment, knowing the way the game was playing out. That Cedric maybe was a little overly aggressive in the box. If I'm a player in the derby and I do what Cedric did, I don't expect a penalty called against me. And if I'm Rob Holding and I do what I did at midfield, I don't expect a card. But if I do what I did the second time, I do. And so I think you can only give the ref some. Now, you may want to say, I'm going to give him most. I'm going to give him 60% of the blame. You might say, I'm going to give the ref 30%, but some blame has to go to a player who does that. I think it's all soft is the best way I can put it. So let's say this, Penn 50-50 at best. Let's get to some of your comments. Look, I got to agree. I just think that it's 50-50. That's it. Pundit on NBC saying it's just yes for the pen. I mean, I don't know. Paul Tierney is a clear United sympathizer. Well, I don't know how that helps United necessarily. They're not going anywhere. This is Premier League payback for us rescheduling the game and making them look stupid. Yeah. Penn was soft, but Son played Holding. Look, I think this is sort of right. I just don't think the first one's yellow. I can't say it this way. I think this sums me up. I would take Saka and Odegaard off to prevent injury for the last two matches. I mean, it just depends, right? I think you got to get to an hour and see if you've gotten a goal back and try to make it nervy. If Leeds could make it nervy 2-0 up at the Emirates, down to 10 men and they're Leeds, like right now, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm saying, if you are someone who doesn't think we can get back in this game, I don't want you in my team. And I realize that that's giving it big and, you got to be realistic, but like, that's how you have to feel. You've just watched Leeds make the game nervy down to 10 men at the Emirates. You can do this. I want to react to this. First yellow is for accumulation. It was, but it's for 2. He literally says 2. Is 2 fouls accumulation? When one of them isn't, I mean, they're both nothing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Got to have that attitude. Yeah, Nick, like that's the thing. Right now, there is a half of football to play and anything can happen. And Spursy is a word for a reason, right? I mean, Spursy is a thing. We've seen crazy stuff. Look at what Wolves did to Chelsea a couple games ago. Look at what Leeds, I'm going to say nearly did to us. They didn't nearly do it, but we have got to be playing the second half as though there's still something in it for us. And if you get to 70 minutes and there isn't, then you have to think. I think the one thing you got to be careful about is if you're going to bring Benjamin White on, and I would not, but if you're thinking about doing it, that's something you got to be careful about because you do not have Rob Holding for Newcastle. And if White comes on and re-aggravates that injury, you have no White and no Holding. Look, this is the problem. We played this run in with squad players. Nketiah, he's been up to it. El Neni, he's been up to it. Cedric, Holding. They've taken us to this point. But you reach a point in the season where you're continuing to play with squad players game after game after game, and the tension is going up and up and up. And at some point, maybe you hit a level that's a little more intense or more challenging than they can reach. And that's harsh because, I think both of these are soft calls, but it's two squad players with all the pressure on who find themselves in the firing line right now for those two decisions. And Cedric, by the way, with a giveaway, that Tomiyasu challenge was sensational to stop Kane. As for their corner kick goal, I realize we're down to 10 men and you know, your head might be gone a little bit. The one thing I would say in that situation is I don't think it can be right that Harry Kane should be at the back post with only Nketiah in the vicinity and no one physically looking at him, no one with eyes in him. Nketiah's got his back to the danger man. No one else is marking him. It's a good routine, but I think you've got to do better than that. So let's get some comments in here. So Abhishek says, so aren't these Arteta's fault? Well, the only thing I would say aren't these Arteta's fault is who do you want him to play, right? It's Sambi or it's El Neni. It's Nuno or it's Cedric. It's other than Holding, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could play Cedric and Nuno and put Tomiyasu at center back. I just don't think we have a lot of options there. Just grind this out and 2-0, move on and win the next two and get rid of Rob and Cedric. I mean, the last part of that, I understand the emotion. We can certainly think about that another day when we're not as fired up. But I think you go for this because there's no downside to going for it. I mean, some of you might say there's a psychological scar to losing this heavily. I don't buy it. I think you tell your players, sorry, as I try to block a spammer in the chat. I think you tell your players, look, there's no downside here. There's no downside to going for this. You lose 10-0, fine. You go beat Newcastle, you go beat Everton, you're in the Champions League anyway. So I think you go hell for leather to try to make this nervous for them for the last 30 minutes. And that's what I would do. We have to try to tie this at least. I mean, look, obviously, right? And do I think it'll happen? I'm not saying I think it'll happen. That's why I had to block the spammers so they don't give it away. So this is an interesting question. Not playing Tommy on right back is biting us. Son is eating that side for supper. Yeah, I don't understand this. I have to confess, right? Like maybe you don't trust Nuno. I would have gone Tommy on the right, Nuno on the left. I don't want to play Cedric, but like Cedric on the left, fine. But I would have kept Tommy on the right side. That's the most dangerous side. And like, would that stop Holding from getting sent off? I mean, maybe if he feels he's got a little more security, right? There's something about Cedric and Holding on their most dangerous side together that's reinforcing the instability. And so that is an issue. And it is Cedric, obviously, that winds up giving away the penalty. So I think that's interesting. Like our shape now with Sack in the middle. I think it's really interesting. Yeah. One of the things we've done, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, we've had some really good positions where players have just taken uncharacteristically quick snapshots. And that's where I think you do see stress. Xhaka took a shot that he blazed over with players that he could play in. Odegaard took a snapshot when he had time and players to play in. Saka did it once where he slipped. He fell over, remember? But he had players he could play in. And Nketiah did the same, but to be fair, Nketiah worked Lloris when he could have played the overlap to Martinelli. So I think it is maybe a little bit of stress getting to the players. Like, this is the one thing. These are young players. None of these guys have been here before. And it's always hard to analyze psychology, but Cedric makes a silly foul that gives away a penalty. Holding loses his head a little bit on a yellow card, and Cedric gave the ball away another time. Players taking shots quicker than they need to. So when you said his fault for lack of recruitment in January. Well, the problem with January is you just don't know, right? I was supportive of the idea not to go for players if the player we wanted wasn't there. So I guess the other question you'd say is like, should we have gone for a right back in January? I don't think anybody was saying that. You have Tomiyasu and you have Cedric behind him. Should we have been going for a third right back option in case Tomiyasu's injury stretched on? I don't think anyone was calling for that. Should we have gone for another center back in January? Again, I don't think anyone was calling for that. And those are the positions today that are costing us, right? What everybody wanted us to go for was a striker. Well, Eddie's done pretty well, right? Some people want us to go for a midfielder, but those aren't the areas that have hurt us in this game. And you win this game and nobody's talking about recruitment. And the reason we're not winning this game, whatever you want to say, whether it's the referee or the players, it's a right back and a center back that have cost us, right? And no one was saying to go for those positions in January. White for Cedric. So this is the biggest debate I think you can have. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. if you want to give it a like or a subscribe or whatever, the things I'm supposed to say from this pulpit, but whatever you want to do, I'll throw the thing down there that tells you to caress the like button. So I want to say something about the White for Cedric shout. This is where you've got to be really thoughtful if you're Mikel Arteta. Benjamin White is carrying the kind of injury that can be re-aggravated. He's obviously fit enough to be on the bench, and that's it. And the way I feel about this is, you beat Newcastle and Everton, you're in the Champions League. Let's not pretend. I see some people acting like that's it, top 4 gone. Like we can't beat Newcastle and Everton. I'm not saying we're going to be handed those results, but you can. And so this is the scary thing, though. With Holding suspended for Newcastle, if you bring White on now and he re-aggravates that injury, you have no White or Holding for Newcastle. And that, I don't think you can do that. So, yeah, I wouldn't. We can't beat Newcastle. Look, I mean, I understand the sentiment. I believe me, I get it. But like, they're totally on the beach. They just got smashed by City. And I'm not pretending we're City, but like, that is a team with nothing to play for. And it's their last game at St. James's Park this season. I get it. And I don't think it'll be a walk in the park, literally or figuratively. But if we, like, this is the funny thing. Let me ask you guys this. Forget the derby for a second. I think we'd all like to. If I gave you beat Newcastle away and beat Everton at home to end the season in your top 4, if I gave you that in August, you'd bite my hand off for it. If I told you we could come into the last 2 games needing 2 wins to be top 4 and we control our destiny, you'd bite my hand off. And oh, by the way, if we can't beat Newcastle, why do we just assume that Spurs can beat a Burnley battling for their Premier League survival when they didn't the last time they played? So I'm not prepared to go full doom. You're reaching Elliot. Look, this is not my normal state is to be doomy and miserable, right? Like, but I don't know. I mean, this is where you want it. You want it in your hands. If we can't beat Newcastle and Everton, forget this game. Then, like, what do you deserve? What do you deserve? You get what you deserve in this league. I don't think we're getting what we deserve today, by the way. So, losing to Spurs hurts the most. So this is something I want to address because I'm curious to get people's feelings on this. Losing to Spurs hurts. Of course it hurts. But this is an interesting thing. Tell me if you agree, because I may be totally out of my mind here. Somehow the fact that I feel hard done by with the refereeing, that we're playing down to 10 men, that they open the scoring with a penalty, that to me takes some of the edge off losing. And like, if you're like, no, you're out of your mind, like, believe me, I get that. It takes a little of the edge off for me, just for me, because like, I look at this and I say, do I feel like we've done that poorly? I mean, objectively, does anyone here think we've done that poorly? Maybe. I just can't quite get there. So let's do this. Let's get to, it's all for the Amazon documentary. Yeah, no kidding. Game's back on. So let's get back to that weird thing that I put on the screen before that people seem to think was okay. There it is. Back to the watch along, unfortunately. Keep the comments coming. I'll try to pop some of those up or respond to them as we go. Game on. I mean, it's a 45 minutes that I think is interesting, right? Because Spurs have to hold their nerve. If you're Spurs right now, this is all on you now, right? You've got this. It's in the bag. All you got to do is play out the game. But that can be hard psychologically when you don't have to go for it. So let's see what we're able to do to challenge them. So the way it looks right now to me is almost like a 5 with a diamond, if you look at it, right? Xhaka dropping into the back line with Gabriel. And I mean, it's like a 5-3-1 out of possession. But I guess it's a 4-2-3 in possession with Saka and Odegaard playing 8s and Nketiah playing the 9 up front by himself. Yeah, just need a goal. That's it. Ball gets into Kane. He rolls his man. Gabriel gets a toe on it, and the ball's in the back of the net. 3-0. Game over. That one hurts. And that's just Kane manhandling Gabriel, really, is what that is. Pardon. Yeah. I mean, I just hope to God we win our next 2 games and we can laugh at them and this means nothing. Like, that's That's what it boils down to. You want to get the better of these guys, go win the next two. God, that's really bad. It's just really bad penalty box defending. Gabriel, he overcommits and he gets rolled. Now that's a good recovery, but they're first to the loose ball. And let's be honest, I don't think Gabriel's been great during this run. Yeah, Gavin, believe me, I'm with you, bud. I'm not planning on it. Now, Spurs have to go from this to playing Sunday against Burnley. That's going to be a big emotional shift of gears. We get till Monday to get things right. No, Nick, I think it's fine. I just think I think it's unfortunate because I don't think that the team deserves this. Let me guess, that's a foul. Of course it is. I mean, every 50-50. Every 50-50. And like, I'm not gonna come to the defense of Gabriel there. Like that's really bad penalty box defending. He overruns the play a little bit, and so he lets Kane shift his weight back to the inside. That gives him the room to go on and get the ball over to Son. Well, to be fair, Gabriel cleans that up. Like this is just, it's terrible penalty box defending. And ultimately, this is the problem, right? You go down 3-0, and what do you do now? What do you do now? How do you approach the rest of this game? Yeah, Jeffrey, believe me, like I would kind of like to turn this off right now and just say that's the end of that. But I feel like we're in it together. We will have an instant reaction pod for patrons. Not that anybody's going to want to sign up for that. Yeah, just defend and limit damage. It is interesting, right? Because we can stick the middle finger or the two fingers, whatever you want to call it, up to these guys in a big way by just winning our next two. That's it. They can have their day in the sun or day in the moonlight, and we can have top four. But now we're going to have to do it the hard way. Oh, Xhaka gives it right to Kulusevski. Kulusevski cuts inside. Tries to keep his balance. Ragdolls Xhaka, but Xhaka gets the call. Hey, we got a call. And Martinelli still fighting. The one thing you can't do here. So, all right, the robots will eat you, says Elliot. The way I see it, if we were capable of winning the next two games, we would have won this game. It's the derby away versus two teams probably on the beach. The good news is I think Everton will be safe by the time that game comes up. And Newcastle are as well already. So, I think it's slightly different. Maybe we get Thomas Partey back too. There's some talk of him coming back for the Everton game. So I got to say, I don't agree with the logic. Hyperfrantic says, Elliot, ref has been fair. Let me say this. I don't think the ref has been obviously bent unfair. I just think the ref has chosen to decide this game in critical moments when he didn't have to. Oh, that's beautiful. First touch from Martinelli from Saka. Back to Saka. Ooh. Gosh, we need one to go our way. We need one to go our way. That was it. That was 2-1. Up 3-1. What am I talking about? Yeah, don't I wish? Tomiyasu keeps it in. Yeah, all right, we have been naive. I get it. I do. But up until the point where Cedric gives away a pointless penalty, and if you want to say gives away a pointless penalty or has one given to him, nothing had really gone wrong. And I get these say nothing's gone wrong until it's gone wrong. But I didn't feel bad about the way we were playing. And then I didn't think holding, I don't know. I can't go through this again. We were bad on their corner kick. We were terrible on their third goal. When we went 1-0 down, Rob Holding didn't have to. I think the penalty is a little harsh. Rob Holding doesn't have to give away that second yellow. You know, we certainly don't have to lose Harry Kane in the box on a corner kick. We certainly don't have to get ragdoll and first, and second to every ball in the penalty box for the third. So yeah, like, I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and try to defend this. I mean, I do think that there's an argument for, getting some rest for players. We want to be sharp. We've got 2 games to win. Yeah. I agree with Big Slim 77. The pen makes it 1-0. That's okay. We had 80 minutes. 10 men and 1-0 is not okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Rob Holding was kind of an idiot. Like, I hate to say it. I mean, I think the first yellow is harsh, but you're on a yellow in the derby. There's no danger. Yeah, I'll give you that. He doesn't have to do that. And so I have to admit, the penalty kind of put me on tilt. And I was kind of in the mind in that moment to sort of forgive everything we were doing. But if you look at this in the, with a little bit of cold, ice in your veins, you would have to say we've been naive, that we haven't handled the pressure of the moment. Because that's what it is, right? None of this was, they out-footballed us. It's a lofted, hopeful cross that we give away a penalty out of nothing. It's another lofted ball with no danger that we go down to 10 men for nothing. That's just not responding to pressure well. And it's from 2 squad players, basically, right? I mean, that's really what it is. Yeah, I think taking Saka off makes sense. Get Smith Rowe on. Get Saka some rest. You got to go win 2 games now. It's that simple. Played it out from the back well there. But they just have so many numbers back, too. It's going to be really hard to create any kind of counterattack because they don't have to commit anything. Yeah, the Gabriel sending off that was similar was against City. And I actually think it's very similar because I don't think Gabriel deserved the yellow for dissent, but I do think he deserved the second yellow. Look, I understand if you're feeling embarrassed, if you're feeling angry, like, you have every right to feel that way. What are the chances Spurs lose one of their 2 games? Well, I can tell you what they're not going to do. They're not going to lose to Norwich. I mean, look, I'd love to say they could be super Spursy and somehow lose to Norwich on the last day, but they're not going to. So it really does all boil down to Burnley. Now, both of the Norwich game is away, but Norwich are down. They've got nothing to play for, and they've been absolutely dreadful. The Burnley game is at Spurs, but that's a Burnley team absolutely fighting for their life. I think if they get anything, they're safe. So, the Burnley game is an interesting one. And the interesting thing is if that's even a draw, then we can win and draw and be fine. So, it gives us a little bit of wiggle room, but just go beat Newcastle and Everton. Yeah, I agree with that we're going to need to win our next 2. Like, do I want to have to go to Newcastle needing a win and have Everton come to our place needing a win? Like, no, I don't want to be in that position, but like, you would have taken it 6 months ago. Yeah, Chris, I'm with you. I'm angry, but I don't know at who. A little bit at the ref, a little bit at Holding and Cedric. I don't know how to be mad at Mikel Arteta necessarily. If you want to throw something at Mikel, and I'm not saying you have to, by the way. I'm saying if that's the inclination, if you want to find some blame to lay at the feet of Mikel, the way you would do it is you would say starting Tommy on the left was a mistake. And I am inclined to think that starting Tommy on the left was a mistake. And I think if you start Tommy on the right, neither of the goals happen. The penalty doesn't happen. Or I say neither of the goals. They've had 3 goals. But let me rephrase. I don't think the penalty or the red card happen. So we'll see. I mean, look, we're at the sharp end of the season, playing the biggest games with the most on the line, and we're doing it with a handful of squad players that we thought wouldn't even be at the club anymore. Eddie Nketiah up front. 3 months ago, no one expected him to have an Arsenal future. Mohamed El-Neni, the same. Cedric, Holding. I mean, you look at who we're trotting out. Holding, Cedric, El-Neni, Nketiah. And that, by the way, I'm not crapping on any of these players. I'm just saying By this point in the season, you'd like to be putting out that, especially when you have one game a week. You'd like to be putting out that strong team, right? Thomas Partey, Benjamin White. I mean, it would have been Aubameyang, would have been the thought process, but that ship sailed, obviously. You know, and then you can expect something different. Kieran Tierney, what a big loss that's been. But that's not an excuse. I mean, that's not an excuse for what Holding did. It's not an excuse for what Cedric did. It's not an excuse for a corner kick where you don't have eyes on Harry Kane or for Gabriel getting ragdolled in the box by Harry Kane. Like, none of this is an excuse. It's just you're asking players who are probably not at this level to carry a lot of water in a very big game. And I mean, this suits both of us at this point. They're going to pass it around between their center backs. We're going to drop into a shell. I mean, this is going to be 80% Spurs possession now the rest of the way. Do they have the killer instinct to want to go score more? They don't need to. They could save themselves for Burnley. James Benj apparently says Martinelli is hobbling. Well, if I were out there, I would he's down. Yeah, he's down. Something happened. 57, 51, 57, 52, 57, 53. He collided with Royal. It looked like maybe he got stepped on. He had the one real dangerous moment before they opened the scoring. The overlap from Tomiyasu. The pullback was good, and Spurs got in a last-ditch challenge. Oh, it's a header. It's well saved from Ramsdale. That was close. Nearly 4. Yeah, I mean, didn't Mustafi give away a similar pen versus Tottenham? Matthew, I want to be honest with you. I've purged all Shkodran Mustafi memories, so beats me. Yeah, I'd bring Smith Rowe on for Martinelli if he's hobbling. I mean, I certainly think that's the way to do it. And then, that's crazy. I mean, everybody's just going to sleep there. I get that Emerson Royal gets in behind Xhaka, but there's also the overlap no one's following. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun night for them, and that sucks. And it's one of those things that we just kind of have to suck it up. Look, if you're Mikel Arteta at the end of this game, the team talk is simple, right? They can win the battle, but we're going to win the war. That's the team talk. They can win the battle, but we're going to win the war. They can laugh and have their night, and it's painful, and it sucks for our fans, and it's great for their fans. But you know what? We're going to be playing Barcelona next season, and they're going to be playing FC Grasshopper. That is how he has to approach this, and he's got to drill that into this team. Trust your football, trust your principles of play. You're going to go to Newcastle and win. You're going to beat Everton, and we're going to have the last laugh. They won the battle. We win the war. And, I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. But that's what you got to do. I mean, the penalty makes me mad, but it's the red card that really sucks. And I'm pretty pissed at Holding because, 1-0 down with a soft penalty, you don't have to turn this into a laugher. What Rob Holding does, I'm going to call it selfish, and maybe that's not the right word for it. Selfish is probably not the right word. But let me say it like this, right? You're in the derby. Your manager has called on you to start a critical game with Champions League on the line. And okay, you've been given maybe a little bit of a harsh yellow. You're down a soft goal. Everything's still to fight for. And you decide, I'm going to give this guy's son a little something extra. I'm going to take that risk with a referee who's been pretty officious to this point. It's just a real lack of understanding and composure in a critical moment. It's like he gets snide, right? He knows what it's the derby. It's almost like getting caught up in fan stuff, right? Fans can afford to be like, it's the derby, blood and thunder, kick the crap out of them. Fans can afford that. Players can't afford to play it like that. Players can. Kane gets a shot in, Ramsdale parries it. Players can't afford to go into the derby thinking like a fan. I'll leave a little something on him. I'll show. All right, I get it. I get that we like to talk about it that way, but you're on a yellow card. You're down a goal with everything on the line. Can't go down to 10 men there. You can't do that. And so I do think it is a little indulgent, maybe a little bit selfish. And it's a shame because I like Rob Holding, and I think Rob Holding's done some good stuff for us during this run-in, but yeah, I think that's a really good point, by the way, from SA Living. Spurs, very annoying lack of injuries. You look at this run-in and who we're having to play with and the players we're missing. And yeah, I mean, they've had Kane and Son and Kulusevski this whole way. Now, granted, they literally lost a center back in the warm-up, but it's so frustrating because, if you can get one of those forwards out of their team, especially one of Kane or Son, it's just, they look like a totally different team. Oh, man. That's way too easy. And Son misses. That is way too easy. Exploiting the space in the right back area. No idea whatsoever where Cedric is. What are we doing? Oh, Cedric's playing left center back for some reason. A weird step up from Martin. I mean, I don't know what that shape was, but they're in. They slide it across to Son. I mean, we've gotten to pieces a little bit. You can understand why. Martinelli comes off. We'll have to find out if he's fit to start against Newcastle. I don't know if he'd be picked anyway. I don't think he did anything wrong, that's for sure. The problem is the length of time where this was actually a game. Oh, hey. The adult dating site is back, looking to get banned again. Can do adult dating site. This is a good question. Has the emotion that's built up during the run-in been at the expense of some professionalism? I think it's an interesting question. I sort of we had a podcast a couple of weeks back after the United game saying, can Arsenal vibes their way into the Champions League? And it does feel a little bit like that, right? Because the Chelsea game was chaos and the United game was chaos, and the West Ham game, we kind of got on top and rode our luck and just played it out from the back to Nketiah. The Leeds game, we're 2-0 up a man, and we still turned that into a nervy finish. We've been riding a little bit of luck. I don't want to pretend that winning streak was just, all sunshine and rainbows. But again, I really don't think we can appreciate enough. Guys, I get it. If you've fallen in love with Nketiah during this run, and you've fallen in love with El Neni during this run, and you've fallen in love with Holding, or that's football. You should be a romantic. You should fall in love with your players. But Mohamed El Neni had played 300 minutes for us before this run. Same with Nketiah. These are guys who, whatever you think, re-sign them, don't re-sign them. They're heroes. They're not. Look, you should love your players, but these are not the guys we expect to be trying to get into the Champions League with in big games down the stretch. And they've done a remarkable job, but you do reach a limit to what those players can achieve without Tierney and without Partey and without Tomiyasu for part of this and without Benjamin White and without a recognized first-team striker. And so you're asking Nketiah and El Neni and Holding and Cedric and at times Nuno Tavares to come in and deliver you this stuff in big, big moments. And I think Cedric and Holding in particular looked overwhelmed today. Cedric didn't just give away the penalty. He had a terrible giveaway. And if Tomiyasu doesn't make an absolutely insane diving challenge, Kane scores to make it 2 right there. And Rob Holding gets sent off in a situation that he doesn't need to. So I don't know. I mean, here's what's hard. The longer this goes on, just like a training exercise, the better as far as I'm concerned right now, because we need this game to be over as quick as possible. Mikel Arteta has a hell of a job now to lift these players. But we are playing a Newcastle team. Let me bring up Newcastle's results because they are safe. So here's what we're looking at. They got thumped 5-0 by Manchester City. They beat Norwich 3-0. They beat Newcastle 1-0. Crystal Palace, they beat Leicester 2-1. They beat Wolves 1-0. They got thumped by Spurs 5-1. They lost to 10-man Everton. They lost to Chelsea. This is going back into March now. They beat Newcastle. They beat Southampton. They beat Brighton. They beat Brentford. They've had some good results. They have had some good results. And, you know, and it's at their place and it's their last home game of the season. So they're not going to roll over. But, you know, I see Big Slim saying Everton is the danger. I think what happens to teams that have been battling for relegation is once they're safe and that edge is off, it's pretty hard to stay focused. But I mean, if you can't beat Everton at home on the final day to get top 4, then, you know, that kind of says what you deserve. You know, you get what you deserve in this league. I know I said that before. Why is Saka still on? Yeah, I'd get Pepe on for Saka. I mean, this is the thing, right? How many subs have we made? We brought on Smith Rowe, and that's it, right? Get some of these guys off. We got to go again on Monday. Yeah, very well, Jeeves. I agree with you. Newcastle have nothing to play for. I don't think Everton will have anything to play for. Let me ask you guys this. In the cold light of day, when let's say we draw at Newcastle, we beat Everton, Spurs win their last 2, and we finish 5th. How are we going to feel about this season? Are we going to have the wherewithal and the perspective to say it's still more than I think a lot of us expected? We ran top 4 close the whole season with a lot of absences. We should feel good about that. Or is the heartbreak going to be too devastating to have that perspective? Everybody wanted this so badly that it feels like if we don't get it, it is going to feel like heartbreak. And I almost wonder, right, after we lost those 3 games after the interlull, did winning the next 4 like make it worse in a way? Would you have rather have just had it thrown away then and there than have it come to this? Yeah, when you end on failure, it's hard to pick up again. I think that's a good point. And I think, yeah, it's still positive, but it's going to sting. Let me say this about the way you end a season. Those seasons where we were crap, but we won FA Cups, the FA Cup was so important because the last kick of the season was hoisting a trophy, and hoisting a trophy in some cases against like Chelsea. So it felt great. Compare that with the season where we lost the Europa League final to Chelsea, right? And how the end of the season felt. I think your last memory in a lot of ways comes to define how you view the season. This is going to hurt unless we go do our job in these next 2 games. You know what pisses me off, though? This just was never a game. This just never was a game. And that's the worst, right? And we've had moments like this, right? Going to you know what I remember? Remember, was it a semifinal of the Champions League against United? And we had our flags at the Emirates, and Kieran Gibbs slips, and they score, and it's over. These big occasions that are over before they start, where you spend an hour like this. You know, this reminds me, you know what this game reminds me of a little bit, guys? Those first 3 games of the season. I know nobody wants to think about the first 3 games of the season, but remember those? I know you don't want to. But think about those first 3 games. We're missing key players. We're playing with backups, and we got thumped game after game after game. Now, here we are at the other end of the season, trying to get results with a player pool that's not much different. We were like, oh, we didn't have Aubameyang. We didn't have Benjamin White. We didn't have Thomas Partey. We didn't have Tierney. We didn't have our players. We don't have them now. It's like ending the way it started. But what you want is you want the game to feel like an occasion. All right, I'm not saying you want to lose at the death. Maybe this hurts less. I don't know. But it's just the build up to this moment. Here it is. Go beat Spurs in the derby and be in the top 4. And by 30 minutes, there's not even a game to watch. And I will say this, and I know nobody wants to hear it. I do blame Paul Tierney for that. I do. I think Rob Holding was naive and selfish. And I think Cedric was, naive too, frankly. I just don't want the game decided by the referee after a half hour when he doesn't have to. Like Luke Ayling had to be sent off in our game against Leeds. He had to be. I don't think any of these calls were had to calls. Maybe the Holding second yellow, but the first wasn't, the penalty wasn't. I don't know. I'm giving him us excuses that maybe we haven't earned. We didn't have to go to pieces after we went down 1-0. We didn't have to go to pieces down to 10 men. But we did. And that's where we are. So, sun is coming off. They're going to feel dumb about that when we make this 3-3. Bergwijn coming on. I love you, Mikel, but for God's sakes, take Bukayo Saka off the pitch. How much do you have to hate Nicola Pepe that you will not bring him on here to just get Saka some rest? Oh, a lesser spotted Alexander Lacazette. Lacazette stripped and ready. Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that he's not taking Saka off. And I mean, he knows his players. It's Eddie and Nketiah coming off. He's chased some lost causes tonight, hasn't had the opportunities. Just 18 more minutes of this. The fact that Nicola Pepe is not coming on here, I mean, and I don't mean to save the game. I mean, literally just to spell Saka. Yeah, Alex, look, Alexander, it's not over after a soft penalty. Totally agree. I totally agree. You can fight for it. You can come back. You can win the game. Liverpool did, not after a soft penalty, but after going behind. And it doesn't have to be over when you go down to 10 men. We've capitulated. I don't want to pretend we haven't. I just prefer that referees don't feel that they have to make 50-50 calls into game deciders. That's all. But it's our fault. Cedric doesn't have to put a shoulder in on a nothing cross. And Rob Holding sure as hell should not have done what he did. You'll never convince me, whether it's for accumulation or for whatever, that Rob Holding's first yellow should be a yellow. Second yellow I'm fine with. Again, though, and this is what I would say, though, just from a consistency standpoint. Are you really going to tell me that we haven't seen worse challenges all season long go unpunished? I mean, you know, the game is just not officiated that tightly from what I see until tonight. And that's not excusing what we did. Not remotely. So, good night, Freddie. Enjoy your sleep if you're able to. And there it is. Now, this is the disaster scenario. Gabriel down holding his hamstring. Glute, maybe? I don't know. Benjamin White nursing a hamstring. Rob Holding suspended. We're going to be looking back on this night for a long, long time. Arsenal have not finished above Spurs in years. We have not been in the Champions League in years. Everybody knows that. It was here for us tonight, but it's also here for us at Newcastle and against Everton. And now we're going to do it with no recognized first-team striker. Maybe that's harsh on Eddie. With Eddie. We're going to be doing it with El Neni. We're going to be doing it with Nuno. We're going to be doing it with Cedric. And we're going to be doing it with... Who are our center backs going to be next game? Benjamin White, if he's fit to start, and Tomiyasu, with Nuno and Cedric on the edges. I don't know what to say. And I mean, I don't know what to say because, yeah, Paul did predict 3-0, by the way, 3-0 loss. Xhaka, White, Tomiyasu, Cedric, back line. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It's about as bad as it could possibly be. I don't know. Is he going down the tunnel? Did he go down the tunnel? Did he go to the bench? Looked like he went down the tunnel. Tomiyasu does play left center back for Japan. Yep, I think Tomiyasu can play anywhere across the back four, personally. But then you got to play Cedric and Nuno. You can't play Xhaka at left back because you need him in central midfield because you got Mohamed El Neni. I mean, I just don't know what you do here now. John, it is a safe space to cry. It certainly feels like this has all gone down the drain tonight. And I just hope I'm wrong. And that's the thing. Like, this was the game to decide it all, and it just hasn't been a game at any point. It never felt like an event after 20 minutes. You know, and that sucks. Gabriel will be fine. From your lips to God's ears. But that's a hamstring pull. And we play on Monday. So, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know why Bukayo Saka's got to play 90 minutes of games. Like, I really don't. He was a doubt for this game, Mikel. Yeah, Adam, I'm getting the doomy feeling as well. Recall Saliba. Wouldn't that be absolute irony? That would end every internet debate right there. What do they say? Break the internet. Here comes Nuno, the human chaos machine. Well, Spurs got their dream night tonight. I mean, I'm just so sick of gifting teams easy wins. I'm sick of gifting teams their best night of the season. This was a gift. Cedric gifted them a lead. Holding gifted them an advantage. We gifted them a couple of goals. And we get a couple of players injured to gift them an edge going into Champions League. Like, I'm just sick of it. You know, the whole joke about, oh, these teams that haven't won in 8 games, and then we gift them their win. Like, I'm just sick of it. Saka, isolated on the outside. Nice cross. Comes to nothing. Another cross right into the hands of Lloris. 13 more minutes of this. Can you believe there are 13 more minutes of this? Sorry, Steve, but Dyche isn't even at Burnley anymore. Is UCL a factor in the Jesus transfer? You know, there's a time for worrying about that. It's probably not now. I would say it like this. Not getting Champions League will certainly have some impact on the business we do, not just in terms of the players we can recruit, but in terms of the money. I mean, I think there's this presumption that we'll just be backed with how much we want, because last summer we were. But, you know, Ashley, look, normally this is a safe space for anyone who wants to come in here, but we're not having the Spurs chat. Sorry. Oh, hey, look, the adult dating site is back. And they're gone. Yeah. Paul did get it right. 3-0 Spurs prediction. I'm staying here basically because I feel like it's keeping me sane. I mean, honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like it's keeping me sane. Tavares on the overlap. Nice little cross. No one in the box. Lacazette arrives. He leaves it. Ooh, Odegaard. Works Lloris. Too close to him, though. Lacazette thrilled to leave that. He was worried he was going to have to get a shot. Really good cut back. Nice solid contact from Odegaard. But again, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's a gimme. Would it kill us to take a shot into the corner? Like, the finishing is just not that great. I don't know. Odegaard's going to need to add more goals next season. You know, those cutbacks, that's how City kills you, right? Look at De Bruyne, a hat trick over the weekend, or I guess what was it, yesterday? And we're going to need to add goals from midfield, and Odegaard needs to add goals. And I could see, you know, if we're going for a Yuri Tielemans to be like a left 8, he's going to have to bring some too. Happy to make you laugh a little bit, Em. Tomiyasu gets it to Xhaka. Xhaka gets it taken off him. Here's Lucas Moura. Cross. Oh, boy, it's a handball. Is that another penalty? VAR is going to be desperate to give them their second penalty of the game. Let me just say that. Let's see it. Yeah, Jeffrey, probably smart. This gave you the energy to clean the kitchen. Let's see. That's a handball, but it's a handball by Lucas Moura. Right? Yeah, it's off Moura's hand. Of course, Kane wants it. They're the biggest scum in the world. Davies goes off like he's done anything. You didn't have to do anything. Just get off the pitch. Nobody cares. I feel bad for the Arsenal fans that went to this. Tim's there right now. And like, again, you know, all you want is a spectacle, something to get you worked up about. I will say this, right? Like, the blood pressure went down pretty darn quick. I spent the whole week in anxiety, and by a half hour of this game, the anxiety was just replaced with despair. Good point. Does Mike Dean care that it was Lucas Moura's hand? We played into the occasion. I think that is absolutely right. And I think, if you say what separates elite players from players who aren't elite, it's talent. Don't get me wrong. But the 6 inches between your ears is where talent lies too. Let's not pretend talent isn't about what's between your ears. Like, do I necessarily think that, I don't know, like Henderson is the greatest, most skillful player in the world? No. But, he rises to big occasions. You get players like that just handle that kind of pressure. We used to have them. And, your squad players, part of the reason they're squad players is they're not quite as talented as your starters, but part of it is maybe they just don't have the mindset for the big moment. I'll give you a great example is Mustafi. Think about Mustafi. Does anyone think Mustafi was bad at football physically? What I mean is Mustafi could jump, he could run, he could kick, he scored some goals. Like Mustafi technically wasn't like a footballer who just couldn't play the game. But what was going on between his ears was an absolute disaster. And Mustafi had a way of blowing it in the biggest moments because he couldn't keep his head. And players like Cedric and players like Rob Holding, part of the reason, especially for defenders, that you're not, the starter, is that when the big occasion comes, it swallows you whole. Let's face it, right? Like Granit Xhaka, what was the reason that Granit Xhaka was sort of a polarizing figure? Because he's a good enough footballer. But the big occasions got to him at times. Ramsdale gives it away. Kane, shot, blocked. But he hasn't let the big occasion swallow him up recently. And so I think people have warmed to Xhaka. But it swallowed Rob Holding and Cedric Suarez whole tonight. Pete says the 6 inches between my legs is where my talent lies, and I enhance mine with Manscaped. Always love the sponsor. But yeah, here's what I would love to know. I would love to live in an alternate universe where there's a different referee, where it's Michael Oliver, right? Or John Moss, who can't keep up with the game, so he can't make a call. I'd be curious to see. Is there an alternate universe? And in that alternate universe, is this game still 11v11 or, whatever the case is? I don't know. We just never got to really play a lot of football in this game. So we don't really have a measure. And the one thing I will say, look, we're going to overrate how bad this was because don't get me wrong, it's really, really bad. But when we were playing football with them, when the game was 11-on-11 before they got their penalty, we were playing the football. What were we saying? Oh, we're sticking to our principles of play. We're having it more our way. And I realize that against Spurs, that's how they want it. You feel like you're winning the game and then all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. But like we could go to Newcastle and play them off the park is what I'm driving at here, right? Like I don't think we're bad just because this game went so badly against us. And there was a comment that I wonder, Fletcher says, Elliot, watch the Holding second yellow before you do the instant reaction. Holding not lucky not to get straight red. I think the Holding second yellow is dreadful from Rob Holding. Dreadful. And it reminds me of the Gabriel second yellow against Manchester City in that I think both of those have to be called, but it's the first yellow that I don't think should be called in both of those instances. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Is that Holding let himself down and let his team down. 44% possession, 8 shots for Arsenal, 56% possession, 16 shots for Tottenham. 85-48, 85-49, 85-50. Well, here's the good news, friends. We're getting there. I think the decision, and it's the biggest decision Arteta made that I think he got wrong, is playing Tomiyasu on the left. I think it's a huge mistake. I didn't understand it when I saw it. I didn't like it. You're saying Rob Holding and Cedric Suarez are going to lock down the most dangerous side of the pitch for Spurs. The side where the ball's coming. That's their game plan to a T. Hit those big, long switches over to the left and let Son win a first ball or let Kane knock it down to Son. That's their game plan to a T. And I don't understand the decision. Well, the Tinder site's back. It's been the best thing that's happened tonight. I should just let them blow up the chat and give us something to be amused by. But yeah, I mean, if I have to pick on Mikel Arteta for anything he did tonight, I would pick on the decision to start Tomiyasu on the left. There's the live table, 1 point ahead of Tottenham. So that's it. 2 games to play. We lead by a point. That's a good position to be in, for God's sakes. It is. We're at 1 point ahead of Spurs with 2 to play. Let's not go full despair, okay? I mean, I'm inclined to want to do it because watching this has been pain, and losing the derby this way is absolute misery. But like, we're 1 point ahead with 2 to play. You would take that. Picking up a lot of yellow cards now. And you just can't let the frustration get the better of you. The biggest challenge, obviously, facing Arteta now is 2 things. Lifting his team for Monday. And I don't love that game is Monday Night Football. Ben White says, Elliot, Newcastle are better than their position suggests. I totally agree. But give me a team with nothing to play for over a team battling. That's why I actually think going to Newcastle on Monday is better than Spurs having to stay here and play Burnley, because Burnley are fighting for their lives and Newcastle have nothing to play for. I don't know, Lee. Lee asks if they have their injured players. I don't know. Yeah, if anyone understands the decision to go Tomiyasu on the left, let me know. I think Tomiyasu's been potentially our best player, by the way. Not even potentially, just probably is. But, yeah. You know what would be funny? The Spursiest thing possible is we beat Newcastle on Monday. Spurs lose to Burnley on Sunday. I would laugh so hard. I'll be curious to hear Mikel's comments after the match. But yeah, he's got to lift these guys. I mean, 1 point ahead, 2 to play. That should not be viewed as a disaster, but I understand why it will be. Yeah, Tommy's been next level since he joined. I got to agree. I just think he's a player that's been massive. Wow, that is a really, really bad free kick from Lucas Moura. 89-33, 89-34, 35, 36. That smug bastard Paul Tierney is certainly going to feel like he got his money's worth today. Oh, yeah, Pepe is gonzy. Absolutely. It is absolutely wild to me that you leave Saka on for 90 minutes when he was a doubt for this game. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. We will have an instant reaction over on Patreon with Clive and Paul. Xhaka talks himself into a yellow card. So here's a question. How many yellows is that for Xhaka? Anybody know? Anybody in the chat want to bring that up? Please tell me we're not at the point where if he gets another, he misses a game. It's 9. Yellow card against Newcastle, and he misses the Everton game. Unbelievable. I get that you don't have big trust in Nuno Tavares. But like moving Tomiyasu away from the danger so you can play Cedric instead of Nuno. Hey, the dating site's back. Welcome back, guys. And they're gone. I just don't understand it. I get that you don't have trust in Nuno, and like this is a scary game to play him, but he's not going to get run by Kulusevski. And you know that the danger's on the right. You want Rob Holding and Cedric Suarez manning the worst part of the pitch against this team? Yeah, Rich, that's a really good point. If anybody does know, is there a way to stop chat spoilers for people that are ahead or behind? I don't know. Can you like delay the chat so that it comes up slower? Thanks, Hirons. Appreciate that. No, wait. Shaq is not out. Can somebody clarify this? If Shaq is on 9 yellows, one more and he's done, right? Anybody? James. Thanks, buddy. Okay. One more, though, and he'd be done. All right, that's the game. 3-0. Absolute disgusting, hot, effing mess of a game that I am sorry you had to be here for. But I thank you for being here. Oh, it's 15 for a ban at this stage. I thought it was 10. Well, what do I know about football? 15 yellows for suspension? No, forget it. Okay, he's not going to get suspended. So here's what I will say. I really appreciate that you guys were here. I feel like I got through it because you got through it with me. My last words are, I think Mikel got some stuff wrong. I think the squad players who have been pushed to the absolute limit of what they have to give cracked tonight, specifically Cedric and Holding. And now I think we're going to have some damaged psyches from some very young players in particular who need to be reminded that we carry a 1-point lead into the final 2 games over Tottenham. The mantra for this moment: we lost the battle, but we'll win the war. That's what Mikel has to impute. That's what he has to imbue these players with the sense of, that we lost the battle, but we win the war. We go to a Newcastle on the beach and we win. We come home to a rocking Emirates, North London forever. Boom. You beat an Everton team that's probably safe by that point, and it's done. And they won the battle. We won the war. And we can laugh at them while they talk about that Derby victory that Paul Tierney helped them with while we're playing Champions League football and they're in the Europa League. So fingers crossed that's what happens. And let's not think about the alternative right now. Let's just say this game is over. Thank God. This day is over. Thank God. And we go again on Monday. Love you, everybody. I hope you hang in there. And keep your heads up. The team will need us. Hopefully they go out on Monday and do the job. And if they do, I think we will be feeling pretty good going into the last day. Nervy, but good. So come on, you Gunners. We love you. And let's never speak of this again, okay? We'll talk to you after Arsenal 10, Newcastle 0.